Welcome back to episode 215 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here, Troy. I'm here with Baba Louie. What's going on, boys? Oh, the puppies go off right on cue, huh?
Yep, exactly. It was the dog did not do a thing until we started the show, and then it started barking. So whatever. Now I'm cranky.
Oh boy.
Well, I feel like we were just recording, so I don't know how much like has gone on in our lives to update people. I do have a knee injury. I'm actually in a lot of pain. It might be on LTIR soon. We'll have to find out. Here's the pathetic thing, though. And this is like a totally getting older thing. I have no clue what I did. But my knee is like, when I try to bend it, like things are moving in there now. And so I'm worried that that's not good.
Are you overdoing your 10,000 steps a day?
I don't know. I don't know what happened. But yeah, these last couple of days have been pretty rough for me. But I don't know. How's it going with you guys? What's new, Troy? Anything?
Not a whole lot since we last talked. Just same old stuff.
Baba Louie?
Nothing here, man. Same old.
Working, podcasting. All right. Well, we do have a lot going on, so we'll get into the show right away then. Before we do, though, a quick reminder that our show, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast, is a Patreon podcast. What that means is we rely on supportive listeners like yourself to help us cover our show expenses, produce more and what we hope is better hockey card content, and then fund initiatives, even in a small way to grow the hobby. You can support us through Patreon. It starts at $5 a month. You can join our $1.99 support level tier. It's very easy to do. You go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, click on the Become a Patron link. It's right at the top of the page. Or if you want, just go to the Patreon website directly, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. There's a link in the show description if you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on a podcast app. And then finally, there's a link in our Instagram and TikTok profiles there too as well. All right, Troy. Wait a minute. We've paid for it, so I'm doing this.
Welcome to the Gong Show. Two guys that can't speak French, but love hockey cards.
Nice. That's a new one for me. Is that a new one?
Mm-hmm. No, that's an older one. But we'll find later on. I scored pretty well on my French test today with Sylvain. So maybe maybe we'll have to get a new one where it's maybe one guy who can't speak French and one guy who's pretty good. But we'll figure that out later. All right, buddy, what's going on? Let's go.
All right. We'll begin the show with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 15. Then it's off to another edition of Hobby Deep Dive Sets Edition. Next, it's part 3 of our Confessions of a Card Dealer. This is followed by Hobby News. Then it's a look at the question of when is it worth overpaying for a card. Next is new product releases. We end the show by looking at some of our favorite hockey cards in the current Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction and any personal pickups. Okay, previously we looked at the greatest NHL player to wear the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers. So now we are looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number, from the runners up in the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL player to wear each number article. The almost greatest NHL player to wear number 15 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' greatest NHL player to wear each number article, and selected by me. It's this guy, John McClane, Josh and Louie. There we go.
Different John McClane? Or
different John McClane, different spelling, but it was pretty funny. I liked it.
Great Christmas movie.
Yeah, great Christmas movie.
Have you guys watched that in a long? Does it hold up?
Oh yeah, I think it does.
That's on TV all the time. It's actually on the TV all the time. Coming up here when Christmas comes around, it'll be on all the time. But if you're watching on YouTube now we don't have the diehard John McClane. We have the actual John McClane is on the screen. So 15 is our first one in this, like, since we got back around to ones and started moving up. 15 was where we had some struggles. I mean, even for the almost greatest NHL players, the runners up at number 15 were Eric Nestorenko and Jim Nielsen. I don't know about Is that say Nestorenko?
Nestorenko, I think, is the way to say it. Yeah, we kind of fell off a cliff here. It's like every one number was a banger.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we're back to poopy.
Yeah. So we'll hope it picks up on 16. As a reminder, the greatest story number 15 was Milt Schmidt.
Well, how many of these do we have left?
9.
23?
Nope, 9. Yeah, we get to 23 and then we're done.
Okay. For real this time, or?
Yeah, for real.
Okay.
Honestly, for real. And even with these, so like these three guys, I kind of just took the guy with the most points because I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about him.
That's what I would have done.
Yeah, I mean, I know McLean's still a coach and everything, but that's about it. All right. Our boy, John McLean, right winger from Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. McLean was selected 6th overall in the 1983 NHL entry draft by the New Jersey Devils. McLean played in 1,194 regular season NHL games over an 18-season NHL career. McLean played his first 13 1/3 seasons with the New Jersey Devils. He would then go on to have stints with the San Jose Sharks, New York Rangers, and Dallas Stars. For his awards and accomplishments, I can promise you that my notes are wrong. He is not a Hall of Famer, but I got 2-time Stanley Cup winner, one as a player, one as a coach, and selected to 2 NHL All-Star games. For his career, 413 goals, 429 assists for 842 points. So pretty decent, actually.
Mhm.
McLean made the playoffs I'm a mess. In 9 of his 18 NHL seasons, compiling 35 goals, 48 assists for 83 points in 104 NHL playoff games played. Best regular season of McLean's NHL career from a point standpoint was his 88-89 season, where McLean had 42 goals, 45 assists for 87 points in 74 games played with the New Jersey Devils. McLean was a prolific scorer in the late 80s, racking up 3 consecutive seasons of 40-plus goals. After retiring as a player, McLean would go join the coaching staff of the New Jersey Devils and served as an assistant coach from 2002 to 2009. On July 13th of 2009, McLean became the head coach of the Lowell Devils of the AHL. And on June 17th, 2010, McLean became the head coach of the New Jersey Devils, and then was promptly fired as the head coach on December 23rd, 2010, after a 9-22-2 start.
Ooh.
Now, I get it. The head coach is the fall guy, but your first year, and I mean, I get it. You're 9-22. You can't fire a guy if you have any hope, like any confidence in him. They must have just not wanted him anymore. They're just like, you're out. Like, that's
Can we talk about this picture for a minute, though? What would you say is if we went to the Mall of America here in Minneapolis and we showed this picture to 100 people and you said insurance salesperson or the greatest NHL player to wear the number 15?
Yeah,
Which-
almost greatest NHL player of 15. Yeah, it's not a lot of people would know who he is, I bet.
No, he looks like your like local State Farm rep, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. It is. It's like it's a good State Farm ad. He would actually, speaking of State Farm.
Let's not talk about insurance right now.
Oh, Louis, mine just jumped again. Like, oh, it was terrible. Anyways, McLean would go on to then join the Carolina Hurricanes coaching staff in 2011 through 2014. In July of 2017, McLean was hired as an assistant coach in Arizona. Then in September of 2021, McLean was hired as an assistant by the San Jose Sharks. Who is this guy not coached for? Holy cow. On July 28th of 2022, McLean was hired as an assistant by the New York Islanders, who I believe he's still with. He survived Patrick Waugh. Maybe him and Waugh are buddies. Waugh hasn't went off on him yet, so that's good. All right. Fun, interesting facts. I will say this was the first one I went through, and I'm like, there's nothing here. I got one. Here it is. Was the all-time leading scorer in Devils history until being passed by Patrik Laine on March 17, 2009. That's it. I couldn't find anything else about this guy that was interesting or fun.
Well, he's a boring insurance agent, so there's nothing interesting about him.
Very good point. Very good point. So let's just move on. His rookie card, 1986 O-Pee-Chee number 37. If you're watching on YouTube, it's on the screen. PSA 10 pop of 69 with a gem rate of 13%. The last sale of a PSA 10 copy of this card I could find was on August 19th of 2022 via eBay, verified in Terapeak for $114.99 US. There we go. That might be the quickest, almost greatest NHL player, but that's good. Got a big show.
Fun facts about John McLean. Nothing's interesting.
What was the tower? Nakatomi Tower.
The Nakatomi
I
building.
screwed up. I screwed up. I should have read off Die Hard facts. Oh, now I'm mad at myself.
And yes, you are right. He still is the assistant coach with the Islanders.
Nice.
Okay. There we go. Well,
It's time for another hobby deep dive.
I'm like really late on the button bar today. I don't know. I think
Well,
my
I
knee,
was like panicking for a second. Like, did we freeze? What happened?
my knee injury is affecting my brain. Here we go. It's another hobby deep dive. Been a minute, Troy, but we're back. Very, very exciting to do another set hobby deep dive. It's where we put up an Instagram poll with 4 notable sets, right? Oh, Q, your Q. Troy.
There we go.
Oh, are you refusing to do the poll joke? Is that what this is? Or did I
No,
not?
I'm so flummoxed. I'm flummoxed. I don't know what's going on. Was I sharing the pictures during the whole John McClane segment?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you
I-
took them down, and then I shared them again when we started the deep
Okay,
dive
sorry.
because they weren't being shared.
On-air production meeting. All right, here we go.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't get to do my sorry, Phil. I don't get to do the poll joke. But so we put up an Instagram poll with 4 notable sets, and then let our followers of our show pick the set which we should deep dive. And as a way to torture Phil, I usually put up the 1988-89 O-Pee-Chee Chrome Blast from the Past set because for whatever reason, it always loses. And Phil loves it so much. But kind of for the record, too, I'm surprised that.
I had my pictures out of order. That's why I am so screwed up.
Oh.
And there's the poll. If you're watching on YouTube, it's late. There it is.
No, it was the joke poll.
Like the pole. Flag pole.
You know the joke we always
Was there was there a picture of that in the Oh god. This just went off the rails. Okay, I'm gonna go here and then just sit back.
Welcome to the first day of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. We haven't done this 215 times. We haven't spent thousands of hours perfecting our craft. We're just a bunch of bleeping idiots who have no idea what we're doing. We're a little punch drunk, and our show is completely off the rails. So this is Hobby Deep Dive Sets. Is everyone on board with that? It's where we pick 4 sets. We put up an Instagram poll. People pick, and then we do a deep dive on whatever that is. Now, what Troy has on the screen is a recap of these are the sets, deep dives we've done to this point. We've done 16-bit from 2021 Allure, Atomic Refractors of 98, 08 Jambalaya, 1996 Upper Deck Game Jersey, 2009 the Crosby Tributes from the Cup, 1996 Run for the Cup, and then our last one was 2004 Young Guns Legends, which in keeping in form with this whole segment, which Phil thought was actually the retros, but he picked the wrong set, and so we ended up learning about that anyways. Troy, do you love too how many months ago we would have just started over? And now
I'm sure.
We would have probably started this whole show over.
I'm all
We would have been
flummoxed. Like I went out, I saw the picture, it's in there. It's because I didn't have the Q in the outline, so I screwed myself up by not putting it in there.
That's all right. That's all right. Okay, so now we can put up the real poll because there's 4 options that we threw up on our Instagram poll for this week's Hobby Deep Dive. Once again, 1998 O-Pee-Chee Chrome Blast from the Past. Let's see if Phil's set wins. 1997 Pinnacle Zenith Z Gold. 2018 Upper Deck Fanimation, and then 2014-15 O-Pee-Chee Platinum Seismic Gold. And with 38% of the vote, that makes this week's OP Deep Dive, Hobby Deep Dive, the O-Pee-Chee Platinum Seismic Gold. Second place was the Pinnacle Zenith Z Gold from 97 with 23%. Then Phil's 98-99 O-Pee-Chee Chrome Blast from the Past with 20%. And then 2018 Upper Deck Fanimation, 19%. I kind of thought Fanimation was going to win, if I'm being honest. Are you guys surprised a little bit?
I'm happy.
You're not a Fanimation guy, huh?
I am not. I don't know why. No, I'm not.
I will say, Louis, I'm kind of with you. I'm not a Fanimation guy. They have grown on me a little bit, but I don't like when we first got into the shops. Remember that was kind of the card people were because we were like always complaining. There's no downtowns. There's no kabooms. There's some, and that was the card that people would point to. And I was like, I don't really. Down to me, that's just the Provisions. That's my new greatest card ever in the hockey card hobby. I love those.
Well, I was watching Breezy the Breaker, and he calls Provisions downtown
Oh, does he?
today. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
that's kind of funny.
kinda. They're not really, but kind of. Like, I guess. I don't know. I don't think so, but
All right, let's learn about 2014-15 Seismic Golds. So they're in, of course, the 2014-15 O-Pee-Chee Platinum set, which happens to be the first year that O-Pee-Chee Platinum was produced.
mhm.
Chromium finish card that's similar to Topps Chrome. Who knows like how different the actual surface or printing technology it is.
Mhm.
I think that the idea was when Upper Deck purchased the O-Pee-Chee brand, they couldn't keep the Topps O-Pee-Chee IP, the designs and technology and all that. So they kind of had to create their own stuff. And this was sort of their answer to what O-Pee-Chee Chrome would have been. Today, it's one of 2 chromium hockey sets made by Upper Deck. Of course, O-Pee-Chee Platinum, and then Allure would be the other one. And it's the fancy cousin of O-Pee-Chee paper,
There it is.
as it uses the designs from that set, right? So
Yeah.
the basic card design comes in the paper product, and then they jazz it up for O-Pee-Chee Platinum. The base set for 2014 O-Pee-Chee Platinum is 200 cards. The first 150 cards of the base set are veterans. The final 50 cards are rookies. Now, why is this important? Because all 200 cards have a Seismic Gold parallel.
Oh.
Notable rookies from 2014 O-Pee-Chee Platinum include Johnny Hockey, Johnny Gaudreau, Pasta, David Pastrnak, Leon Draisaitl, Andrei Vasilevsky, Aaron Ekblad, Bo Horvat to some extent, and then Darnell Nurse. Now, the Seismic Gold is a parallel of the base set. So 2014 O-Pee-Chee Platinum had the following parallels. Some are similar to today, others a little bit different. There's the Rainbow Parallel, which is 1 in 4 hobby packs. Tracks, which I think they brought back this year, last year, maybe on the retro
I feel
one,
like they did, yeah.
is 1 in 20. White Ice out of 199. That one's no longer.
Yeah, it's like that one's not around anymore.
And then Red Prism was out of 135. Now Red Prism's out of 199. Blue Cubes. A lot of people love Blue Cubes, and I'm not sure why Upper Deck hasn't brought that one back. But then, and that's out of 65. Then Seismic Gold out of 50. Black Ice out of 25. That's another interesting one. It's like, why is there no more Black Ice? And then, of course,
Yeah.
Golden Treasures 101. Now, one other interesting note about Seismic Gold in the very first issue of O-Pee-Chee Platinum is that today, of course, there's 2 versions of the Seismic Gold. There's the regular card that's out of 50, and then there's the rookie auto Seismic Gold out of 25. There were not Seismic Gold autos in 2014.
Is it just it's both autos, not just rookie autos, right? Seismic Gold. You said rookie autos, so is it?
Yeah, well,
So
it's typically, well, yeah, both autos. I'm sorry, both autos could have Seismic Gold. I shouldn't have specified rookie there. Good catch. But there were no Seismic Gold autos in 2014. That's
Yeah.
the important note there. Now, O-Pee-Chee Platinum and the Seismic Gold card began to rise in popularity once the 2016 set came out and the release of the Austin Matthews rookie. I found this kind of interesting. So in June of 2017, an Austin Matthews Seismic Gold auto, because they were producing autos by then, out of 25, which was raw, sold for $601. And you're like, well, why is that notable? Some random 2016 Seismic Gold that sold in June 2017. That was the first time publicly, according to Card Ladder sales history, that a Seismic Gold card sold for more than $500. So even when the Connor McDavid rookies were produced and released, no one of them had even ever sold for 500 until that. And then a few months after that, you started to get big McDavid sales. So that was maybe one of the early signs that this set was gonna, and this card was gonna start to take off. And then, of course, as we know, right, it was during the pandemic where these cards really kind of caught their momentum. And you'll probably recall this too, Troy, coincided almost when we started our show.
Yep.
Like Seismic Golds were hot at that time, and that's one of the early topics that we talked about. So why are these cards so desired by collectors, and do they sell for so much? And not just the 2014, but all the other Seismic Golds. Hard question to answer, but some of the stuff that we've sort of pieced together over the last couple of years is we know that there's something magical about gold. You talk to any dealer at a trade show and the gold cards sell easier and for better prices than other cards do. You typically get really nice designs that come on O-Pee-Chee, and then I don't know, try like what do you call sort of the Seismic Gold effect? Or is there, it's not like how you would describe like a cracked ice prism. I've never really heard a term, but it's got kind of its own
I
sort
call
of
it, it's like a gold shiny shimmer is what I
yeah, like a shimmer. That's a good word for it. And what that means, of course, is you get the card in the right light, and it really pops. And you get a lot of colors, you get a lot of shine from it. I also think too that being out of 50 is a really good balance from a print run. It makes it so it's reasonably accessible if you want to get one, and they sell reasonably often.
Yep.
But it's also pretty scarce as well. So it's almost that perfect number where, the Emerald Surge out of 10, you might not see one or any card out of 10 for sale for 3 years.
Right.
And they're going to go for huge money, where this is kind of like the upper middle class grail or the middle class grail in a hobby. I think a Seismic Gold, right? It's not going to cost you a fortune, but they're still really desired and really cool cards. Now, the 2014 set, of course, doesn't offer the McDavid or Matthews rookies, but because it's the first Seismic Gold ever, there are some really important cards for vets. Like we've been looking at the Ovi Seismic Gold. It's his first Seismic Gold card. It's the first for Crosby. There's also important vets like Yager, Pavel Datsyuk, Henrik Zetterberg, Patrice Bergeron, Evgeny Malkin, Martin Brodeur, Louis, one of your favorites, and probably some other. And we've talked often about how I think collecting firsts, as sets continue to get produced, and this is a card that's in every release year for O-Pee-Chee Platinum, that it's going to put a premium on cards like this. And in the case of Ovechkin here, he now has 8 different Seismic Golds because there's been 8 O-Pee-Chee Platinum releases since 2014. And then we're going to have in a month or two, probably his 9th card as well. And so I think this card is, that distinguished because it's the first one. And we'll see in some of the hobby prices that I think reflect that. Do you agree with that sentiment, Troy? That that this would be the one to have, that it is different than the 4th or something like that?
Well, yeah, I remember when I looked for Pekkas, I always went after the first one first. That's always the one I wanted, and then I'll worry about the other ones.
So to date, from this product from 2014-15 O-Pee-Chee Platinum, there's been 321 public sales of Seismic Golds per card letter sales history. 16 of those have been for more than $500 US. And like we always do in these deep dives, I've compiled the top 5 highest selling Seismic Gold cards from 2014-15. Of course, any sale made by eBay, we verified that it was paid for in Terapeak. So we'll just go into that right now. And the number 5 is not even the PSA 10. It's an OV Seismic Gold out of 50 BGS 9 that sold for $900 US in July of 2023. And so I think this is where we're seeing that premium on the fact that it's the first Seismic Gold. For a non-rookie card, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Out of 50. Then the number 4 is the Sidney Crosby Seismic Gold out of 50 BGS 9.5, sold for $928 in April of 2023. We're showing a raw copy here as our image because we have yet another case of the disappearing eBay photo, even though it was a sale from like a year ago. But again, another example of a pretty big number paid for so what 2014 would be is like 9th year as a player, but the first Seismic Gold. Then the top 3 are rookie cards. So number 3 is Andrei Vasilevsky. His rookie Seismic Gold PSA 10 sold for $1,190 US this past January.
Just a great clear photo. I love it.
Yeah. Pretty much a
Sorry.
potato photo. No,
Hmm.
looks like Louis' webcam half the time.
Hey, now.
Yeah. Then number 2 is a Leon Draisaitl rookie Seismic Gold out of 50 PSA 10, sold for $1,773.
That's a
US
sweet card.
dollars
That's a
Yeah,
sweet
like-
card.
in December 2022. And then the number 1 is a David Pastrnak rookie Seismic Gold out of 50 PSA 10, sold for $2,183 in November of 2023. And I mean, that's a big number for parallel out of 50. No auto, no memorabilia. Kind of shows the chase that these cards have. Well, that's
They're
it.
Sweet. They're sweet looking cards.
You a big fan of Seismic Golds, Louis?
Yep, I like them.
Me too. Do you have any?
Negative.
How many do you have, Troy? You have one.
Probably got between Pekka and a couple other loose ones. I probably got 8.
Oh wow, yeah, you have more. I think I have one. I have a Gretzky. They paid a lot of money,
Okay.
but it's one in the All-Star jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, love it. So, all right. Well, we'll be back soon with another deep dive. And yeah, who knows what we'll do? Sets or rookies. We got 2024, 25 rookies coming out. We got a lot of options to dig into there. Well, it's been almost a month, Troy, since we checked in with Sylvain Cormier in our last Confessions of a Card Dealer. Time goes by very, very fast. So we're excited. We were excited to check in with Sylvain. I think we did last night. We recorded. Our goal is to see what's going on in his world as he continues to build up his card business, and as his goal to make selling his kind of, I think, full-time gig. And as we run up to the start of the 2024-25 season, I was curious to know, like, what's he doing right now? Is he buying or selling? What some of his wins are? Has he had any kind of tough losses over the past week? And then really what his thought process. We're kind of in a weird time in the hobby where the season's right around the corner, but it's still sort of summer. There's not really anything going on. People are still, like, in the NHL world, I think, on vacation largely. There's, this is like when you see all the players' wedding photos on Instagram.
McDavid just got married.
Yeah. Just got there. So, like I said, we're excited to check in. And with that, we'll get right to our conversation with Sylvain. It is chapter 3 of Confessions of a Card Dealer. You guys hear that?
I've gotten used to it. I hear it all the time now.
We're going round 2. We're gonna go twice.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's the hobby church bells, and that means it's time for another Confessions of a Card Dealer with our good friend Sylvain Cormier. This is chapter 3, right? Did I do that? Did I do good?
Nice. Yeah. Very good.
Okay. Nice. Well, hey, welcome back.
Thank
Chapter
you so
3.
much.
Here we go.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I looked the other day, and it's been about a month. It doesn't, time flies. It seems like it was not that long ago, but it's been a while. And so a lot to get into today. We've kind of gone through the background. We know who Sylvain is. And if you have not listened to chapters 1 or 2, maybe in the episode, we'll put it like in the description, or you might just have to go find it. We'll see if we forget. But yeah, episode 1, we kind of did the background. Episode 2, we talked a little bit about the big Zach Hyman lot that you bought, and we'll kind of maybe start there for an update, and then we'll move on to some other stuff. And really kind of curious too how you're viewing the end of August, early September, and like what you're gearing up to do. But let's start with Zach Hyman. So, from my recollection, where we left off is you bought this big lot of Zach Hyman cards, like 40.
Yep.
A bunch you sent to grading, some you sold right away, and everything was kind of turning up roses, which is nice. It's fun when things work out at first. And did you hadn't gotten the ones back from grading last time we talked, had you?
I had not.
Okay, so do we want to start there? Is that a good spot?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, listen.
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right now, but I did make an Instagram post if you're interested. I'm just doing a shameless plug here. If you want to follow me, Lashwine on Instagram, I do break down a little bit more the numbers and my gem rate and what I paid for grading. I had other cards in that batch too that I graded, but I want to say more than half. So were Zach Hyman cards. I think I graded 22 Zach Hyman cards. So out of the 40 that I got, I want to say a little over a quarter of them were already in a PSA slab. Some of them were in Beckett slabs, and some of them were in BGS like raw reviews.
Yeah,
the Beckett slabs and the raw reviews took them out of that and sent them to PSA with a bunch of raw cards. There were a bunch of silver foil young guns. There were a bunch of regular young guns, a few clear cut young guns, and I'm happy to say that all the silver foils and clear cuts graded 10s. The regular young guns were so 2 clear cuts, 7 silver foils, and there were 8 regular young guns. 4 of them got 10s. My gem rate on the Hymans were, I want to say, around 70%.
Jeez.
I inspected them really well, and I was surprised at so many raw cards. The only raw cards from that lot that I didn't grade were the acetates and 1 Future Watch auto. And I moved. So there were 2 acetates and 1 Future Watch auto. I moved 1 acetate and 1 Future Watch auto. I still have 1 acetate Young Guns. And now I've got them back from grading. I put them up for sale. I didn't get any bites, but I did send them to get auctioned off at Slab Sharks. I want to say about more than half of what I received, especially the higher end stuff, like a Future Watch auto inscribed, PSA 10, a Young Guns exclusives, PSA 10, which is Pop 1. So that grade,
Okay.
I was happy with that grade. I sent in 2, and 1 got a 10, 1 got a 9. And so they're at Slab Sharks, but they're stacked. So like I sent the shipment with cards. I said, I want this week 1, this week 2, this week 3, just because I don't want to just flood eBay with high-end Zach Hyman cards. So I kind of have them stacked. They're going to hit the auction this Thursday, the first week, and then we have a few more weeks. With that said, I do want to add that, I posted all of the cards that I got from PSA. I posted them for sale in Facebook groups, some of them like locally, and I've sold, I want to say, a quarter of it. But the funny thing about Zach Hyman, I had him at shows. I had him stickered very reasonably priced, and I got no bites on the high end, on the mid end. But as soon as it hits eBay auctions, I get way more than my sticker price, like 25 to 30% more. And I know I'm throwing percentages nonstop here, but like it blows me away, and it just makes me realize how big the eBay market is compared to shows,
Sure.
and Facebook, and there's a reason the fees are high. It's because of the
So the grading turnout or result was a big win. I mean, huge win, right?
Dude, yes. Yeah, I was really happy with that because it doesn't always turn out like that.
And at this point, your overall confidence that you'll make money on this lot of 40 that you bought is it at 100% yet?
It's not at 100% because I did pay $800 to grade those, so 800 Canadian dollars.
Okay.
So I'm at close to $6,000 Canadian for what I paid, and I think I pocketed around $4,600. So I calculated it, and I should almost close to double my investment here.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah, it's probably my best win ever in terms of percentage on a collection purchase that I ended up moving.
So is your goal to be kind of out of all of these 40 cards by the time the season starts? Is that the idea?
No, not necessarily by the time the season starts. I'd like to break even by the time it does. And with what I've sent to Slab Sharks, I definitely will, and I'll be in the green. But I did keep, I want to say, 8 or 9 cards. Most of them are regular Young Guns and Young Gun foils, and maybe a Future Watch auto, PSA 10. So stuff I find, cards that are in the $100 to $300 range in slabs, they move very quickly. And I'm all about velocity and just I get repeat customers like that. They really enjoy coming to see me at shows, seeing what's fresh for my inventory, seeing what's fresh in my life, and we catch up, and I find my inventory priced fairly. That sweet spot is like $100 to $300 range. And people flip
What's
through
nice
my box.
cards that
Yeah.
don't cost mortgage payments.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
Most people don't have a mortgage payment in a month to spend on a card.
Yes. And most people is who I want to deal with. I want to deal with regular people who are passionate collectors. I'm okay selling a high-end card, don't get me wrong, but I love dealing with regular Joes. Like I feel I can relate to them more.
So Zach Hyman, we're definitely trending to the win column. Congrats. That's pretty awesome. Now I'm curious, we've had some big news in the last couple of days about player movement.
Yeah.
And one of those is Patrik Laine, who I have a new name for. I think it's pretty funny. But
Let's hear
now
it.
I'm setting myself up. Diet PLD.
Almost. We'll see.
Do we like that? Is that good? Yeah, that's what I'm going to call him now. Diet
Almost.
PLD.
You probably
So-
won't get Fieldy's contract, but yeah.
And now, were you in on the Laine game at all? Are you getting in, or like what's your play here?
So it's funny. The first graded card I bought when I got back into the hobby was on eBay, and it was a Patrik Laine Young Guns BGS 9.5 True Gem Plus. I think I paid like $250 for it. Like this, like I bought it like at the top of the market, or like as things were exploding. And I ended up buying a few collections or lots with Patrik Laine's in them, and I had 3 BGS 9.5s, 2 PSA 10s, and a BGS 10 that I brought at shows and I've had with me for about over a year. It would not move. It would just not move. And I feel like I was priced right. My PSA 10s, like last show in Montreal, were priced at $70. No bites. And I eventually took him out and I put him aside. I'm like, there's rumors he might get moved. So I have 6. I had 6 of his Young Guns graded. So I put him aside and I'm like, we'll see what happens. I'm already at a massive loss with the first one I bought. I'm okay just sitting on this and seeing what happens. I don't recommend doing this. It was just by happenstance that it just got set aside because I couldn't move them. I'm like, well, you might leave Columbus. Columbus isn't a great market.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did have, and I put them up for sale yesterday after the trade, and they moved within 10 minutes. Within 10
Did you
minutes. they were
sell each of them individually, or did you sell them as a lot?
I put them up as a lot. I could have sold them individually to maximize my profit. But, and I know this is going to sound, it's going to sound like I'm virtue signaling or I'm saying I'm holier than thou or whatever, but there's something that doesn't sit right with me selling at the very, very top for the top dollar amount. I could have sold them all individually. I think I would have made an extra $200, $250, whatever. I put them up as a lot on eBay and in a few Facebook groups at the same time. They were on eBay first because the admin needs to approve your Facebook post.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say it was up for like 5 minutes. Offers started coming in from eBay. I could have priced it a little more. I think I priced it at $999, so $1,000 for those cards, those 6 cards. And I was like, I'd be happy with $900. And so I got $700 offers, $650. I kept countering at 900. And some people just rejected. And one guy kept giving me other offers, and he offered me 3 different offers, and I put 900 every time. And by the time, so they were up on Facebook for about 3 minutes. As soon as they're up, messages start coming in, and then I got an eBay notification: your $900 offer was accepted. I got one guy saying, so I put it up on Facebook for $950. One guy, a vendor, reached out. He's like, I'll take them. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, dude. I just sold them. He was like, for how much? I was like, 900. He's like, cancel the transaction. I'll give you $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Well,
yeah, that was tricky.
Can I think there's a couple things I want to unpack there,
Yes.
and then before we continue. First of all, I think one maybe kind of tip there is if you post something and there's multiple people giving you offers within 10 minutes, that is a cue to stick to your guns, right? To not take the
100%.
$600 offer that you listen. If 5 people have offered in 10 minutes, I'm going to get $900. I can be choosy. If it's been up there for
Yep.
7 months
Yep.
and it's your first offer, then you might want to consider it. So I think there's a little bit of a lesson there. Troy and I talk about all the time about taking the win too. And you were talking about trying to sell at the height of the market. I think that's a fool's errand
I
to
agree.
try to get the absolute. 99% of the times you're going to miss it, and you're going to end up getting way less. Where you list these cards for 1,000 Canadian. You tell me 6 months ago, what would that same lot have sold for?
When I woke up yesterday morning, those cards together were probably worth around $350 to $400. That's what I told myself.
Yeah. So you sold them for $900. That's a win. Take the win. And in your position, if you do that over and over again, sure, maybe now and again you'll leave $100 on the table here or there. But kind of like you already said, it's about volume and keeping moving. And
Yep.
it's not only one person can set the market high.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you mentioned like, oh, the next time you might leave $100. There might not be a next time if I'm too hesitant to sell. As velocity goes a very long way, and you learn faster that way as well. And the point that you made about getting $600 off or $700 offer right away, in the past, I probably would have accepted that $700 offer. I was so excited about the idea of making the sale that trumped, holding firm. So through the experiences of the last almost 4 years, that's changed where I know when to hold firm now. And I was obviously right. And I like you said, I took the win, and he can make money off that. I'm convinced, like if he sells 4 of those cards tomorrow, he can make money. And I'd rather help someone make money than leave someone holding the bag.
And the reason why I call him like Diet PLD, he had 3 good years, but that was like 6 years ago now. And he was in the player assistance program. He was a healthy scratch. He was hurt. People think he's lazy. I mean, these are not good signs I get the whole Montreal fans and getting excited and being tantalized by his talent. But if you look at the totality of the evidence, that is a player I'm moving fast.
Yep. And I feel bad for the guy. Like I really liked him the first 2-3 years. I saw a huge star potential. And, like you mentioned, the player assistance, like I think he has mental health issues, and that I feel bad for the guy.
You feel for him, and you hope that nobody roots against anyone. We want every player to be successful.
Absolutely.
We want every card to go up. I've never once rooted for a card to go down. But if in your game, it's about wins and losses and timing.
Absolutely.
And right now, it's all about the excitement and what could be. And the track record these last 5-6 years has not been great.
I agree.
So it's best to capitalize off of that excitement. And the same thing goes, it's not just Diet PLD. It's Bedard. You could think of the same way. You could think every player that's it's hype is what moves momentum in the hobby.
I agree. To add to that about taking the win, since I've been in the hobby, I want to say I've seen about 6 guys completely explode. I remember Ovi, his PSA 10 was 12 grand Canadian at one point. I've seen Jason Robertson go from $100 PSA 10 to, so there was Robertson. I saw Draisaitl explode, Makar. So Robertson and Makar, I owned stacks of them when they exploded. And I was trying to maximize my profit as much as I could. And I basically, I did get wins, kind of like I just did with this lot, but I tortured myself for almost weeks for not getting, because after they sold, they kept going up. And I was like, oh, I could have waited 3 days. I should have held firm. I tortured myself. And that's worse than the $300 gain or the $300 I left at the table. I learned that, I tortured myself twice selling too early. And I realized that it's not worth it. And it's also impossible to time the market 100%. So don't beat yourself up if ever that happens to you. Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to bring up in this example is, sure, it was a little bit lucky, or fortune was in your favor, that Patrik Laine was traded to the Canadiens of all people, right? That's a very good fortune there.
Yep.
But you also recognized the opportunity and you acted quickly in order to capitalize on it. And so I think those are a couple good things for people to take away too, is
100%.
that watching the news in a way that enables you to think strategically and say, okay, is there a play for me here?
Totally. Yeah. And it just by happenstance, like I don't recommend holding, and I don't hold much. Like I said, it's because I couldn't move the guy and he kept going down. And I'm like, well, I got extremely lucky. These odds were not in my favor. I could have bought a lottery ticket and had the same odds, and it panned out. I also have a stat. The only other guy I have, well, other than Ty Smith, which I don't think I'll ever get anything.
We've been through that.
Yeah, we have. Is Bowen?
Well,
Byron.
wait. You're the economics guy, Troy. Is that like sunk cost fallacy? Is that what that's kind of
Yep.
called?
I think so. Sunk cost fallacy.
What does that
We'll
mean
say that.
again?
I don't ask me. Like, you're so far into it that you're just gonna hold out instead of taking your losses.
Yeah,
I think is something like that. I'll look it up real quick. The phenomenon whereby a person is reluctant to abandon a strategy or course of action because they have invested heavily in it. So just like I said with Sylvan, shaking his head like, yes, you're on the right path. Econ's been a while since I've done some econ research.
I actually, Chris Sewell, one of my favorite YouTubers, card related, that's not a podcast, of course, is
thank you.
Has a video.
Thank you.
Has a video that about the sunk cost fallacy applying to sports cards. I watched that video maybe 2 years ago, and it blew my mind. Like, I was like, oh man, he's doing exactly what he's explaining exactly the mistakes I was doing, and that I've noticed in 90% of my fellow vendors that I love dearly, but I used to take their advice. And now I'm like, because I remember when a Makar exploded, there were vendors like, I have Makars, but I'm not selling them. I'm like, okay, holding's a strategy here. That's the strategy. And it was not the strategy. And I think, it's very common. Like, it's a very common way to react. It's intuitive, and it's counterintuitive to, cut your losses and move on.
I think though that's a collector's mindset, because to me, the dealer mindset, and this is part, Sylvan, of my education and understanding the hobby. I would have made the same mistake that you're talking about 2 months ago. But if you're a true dealer, it's not that like when Cale Makar explodes that you're going to hold forever for the big payday. I think the savvy dealer, so let's say that's 4 years down the road in the best case scenario, will be in and out of Cale Makar 15 times in that process and make
100%.
money 15 times versus
Agreed.
take that big risk, and which may never, he gets hurt or has some scandal or just starts to stink.
Yep.
Then you're left holding the bag.
100%. And I remember the first Matthews Young Guns that I sold. I was like, oh, like it hurt. I was like, oh my God, like this is a card that could very much go up. And I do think it could go up. But I've had since then at least 15 to 20 Matthews Young Guns pass through my hands. And if I were to hold that first one and X and Y and Z, sorry, or no, Z is the American way. I wouldn't have had those 15 other come through my hands. Like again, velocity. I think velocity is the theme here. It's very important, especially for vendors.
And a 20% profit is good in any traditional business sense. That I think is a good outcome where as collectors, like we're in this sort of lottery fantasy mode. It's like we want to buy a card for $10 and sell it for 10,000. Like that's our complete pie in the sky. Sure, it's happened, but just because it happened once doesn't mean it's likely to happen all the time.
Yep.
Like the one guy that opened with the Topps box of baseball with his son, he got 48 autographs in it.
Oh,
yeah.
Those are on purpose. They're calling them magic boxes now. That Fanatics is putting out.
Well, I mean, imagine. We're not going to get into like the tactics that they're using. But imagine knowing that that's out there and how easy it'll be to move
CT
for them
scanners.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. Yeah.
So
I'm gonna bring up CT scanner on anything I can do from now on.
Yeah, no kidding.
So everything's coming up roses right now. It's fun to be on it. You're on a heater. Any losses recently, or is you everything you have the Midas touch?
Thank you for asking, because I was going to get to that, and I was going to say, even though I'm on the track of doubling my money on Hyman, if you look at my spreadsheet, there are some cards I lost $50 on. There's one card I lost $500 on. So like, that.
Which one's that?
So it was an Austin Matthews PSA 10. I got it for a really good deal. I bought 3 from the guy, and then I ended up buying 5 from this. What's that? Yeah. So what happened was, this was at the Sports Card Fest in Saint-Hyacinthe in June, mid-June. I had my 3 Austin Matthews PSA 10s there, and I sold one for straight cash. And then I moved 2 for part trade, part cash. And one of the part trade, part cashes was like $300 in cash. I should pull up the card. It's one of those die cut rookie year McDavid cards. So during this festival, Edmonton had just won, I think maybe its second game. So it was 3-2 Panthers. And McDavid, there was hype for McDavid. And I got to find this exact card here. I'll keep talking while I find it here, because I did auction it off. So what happened was, so I got that card, another like $60, like the draft McDavid card. And yeah, I want to say like $300 to $400. So this die cut rookie card, this obscure die cut rookie card of McDavid, he had priced at around 11. His sticker was like $1,100 or $1,200, and I knew it wasn't worth that much. That's why I ended up getting $200 to $300 cash and another card. So a good way when you're not sure what something is worth that you took in is to auction it right away. So that's exactly what I did. I had a bad feeling about that transaction, so I immediately auctioned it off. Here it is. I have it right here. It is a 2015 Upper Deck Full Force McDavid rookie die cut, and it's a BGS 9.5, a true gem. And die cuts grade hard, and this is not a very common card. So I auctioned that card off, and it sold for $325 on auction. So,
ouch.
Yeah. So I learned a valuable lesson there, and I do get losses like this big. They're rare, but my average loss is like I'll lose $32 here, $50 there, $100 here. Those add up. So my big wins even those out. As long as those big wins, or my regular 20% wins, outweigh this, I'm not panicking, but there's no way to not have that. It's impossible to completely avoid those.
Well, and I think too, as long as you learn from it, like
Yes.
I would assume that a takeaway from that situation is rare and desirable is good, rare and obscure and cards people don't really care about,
Yep.
not so good, right?
Yep.
Just because it's rare doesn't mean that everyone's going to be tripping over themselves to buy it from you. And so
Yeah.
like maybe going forward, you shop that card to your group, your friend group, or your group of confidants, and you say,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm looking at this deal. Is this card good? Is it rare and that in a way nobody cares about, or is it rare in a way that people in the right
Right.
setting would go nuts over?" And then I suppose it doesn't help you either now knowing that Matthews was named captain of the
Yeah.
Leafs.
Yeah. But it's okay because I ended up like I still have 3
Yeah.
PSA or 2 PSA 10 Young Guns Matthews. My plan, like I was planning on moving some and holding some, and that's another strategy. If I have bulk of a guy and Young Guns, the reason I love Young Guns is that it's well, number one, they're liquid, and number two, there's a comp from 30 minutes ago, likely.
Yeah.
And so it's really easy to track the value. So my biggest takeaway here is when I'm stocked 95% Young Guns and Future Watch autos. That's what I'll take and trade. Like
Yeah.
unless it's a huge card that I know is desirable and rare, I'll take that on trade. But
Mhm.
most of what I'm going to take in now, Young Guns and Future Watch autos. That's it. That's it.
Okay, cool. So we've covered a couple wins, we've covered a loss, and we balanced it out with that. Before we kind of run out of time, I am interested in sort of this timing and how you're approaching the fact that we're about a week and a half away from September. So that means that we're still probably what, 6 weeks or more? No, wait, September. Yeah,
Yeah.
6 weeks or so away from the start of the season. Is that,
Yep.
am I doing my math right?
I think
So
so.
is this a buying time? Is this a selling time? Is it neither?
Honestly, honestly, I don't really play that game anymore. I do to a degree, but not that much. So like those Matthews that I bought them all during the summer, and I sold 80% of them during the summer, or 60% of them
Mhm.
during the summer. Like, and I gotta say, as you know, my 5th summer in the hobby, this is the healthiest summer I've ever seen. Like the
Hmm.
dart cards are still going up a little bit. Like they're up
Yeah.
from April, and Matthews cards are up. Not every player's Nathan McKinnon cards. I don't understand why they're so low. So if I see a Nathan McKinnon lot that I think is worth buying, I actually have the draft day the
Yeah.
Yep.
draft day
Marks.
plates there. Marks, thank you. Jeez, a DDM behind me that I bought this summer because I'm like, well, I think this was before he bought the won the heart, and he did end up winning it, but nothing happened to his values. And you have covered that, I know, but I do think to answer your question, it depends on what comes my way, and if it's Nathan, basically anyone but Nathan McKinnon, I'm going to try to move it as fast as I can. I do have a
Mhm.
show coming up at the end of September too, a local show. So I am trying to stock up a little bit on that. I have some cards out for grading, and so yeah, it is still kind of buy time. I don't want to, but I always try to move a little bit, even during the summer,
Yeah.
especially a healthy
So
summer.
you're looking for the right deal still. It's selective buying.
Yes,
Can we linger on the McKinnon thing a little bit?
yeah, absolutely.
I understand anyone's temptation, and I'm not even trying to put words in your mouth, to try to convince yourself that there's got to be upside with Nathan McKinnon. But then there's a part of me that says he's won a Stanley Cup.
Mm,
He's won a Hart Trophy. He had a better year than Connor McDavid, and still nobody cares. What could possibly happen going forward to change it's like, are we fooling ourselves at this point? Nothing against him as a player or nothing against people that PC him, because actually it's kind of a better PC situation. It means everything's cheaper. But as a bankable investment type player, what could possibly change at this point?
That's not a bad, like, that's a very good point. And I don't know, maybe if he repeats the season, maybe, but I think he's a very good, and I'm not saying that's what I'm going to do. I can't necessarily afford to do this, but I think he's a good 10-year hold, like, or 6 or 7-year hold. Like, I think people are going to catch on eventually that he's undervalued.
Eventually they'll figure it out. Be like, hey, that McKinnon guy was pretty good.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that though? Like the 10-year hold thing.
Yeah.
I would assume that that's like wine, right? The naive wine collector thinks, well, I can go to the liquor store, buy any bottle of wine, and in 10 years, it'll be a million times better. But when you learn about wine, what you learn is only very specific types of wine can be stored for that long and have the opportunity to appreciate in value. So if you were going to say, I want to make a bet on McKinnon on a long-term hold, I would assume at that point that you have to know some very specific cards to pick, that it's not necessarily some run-of-the-mill young guns. It's a cup RPA or it's a limited logo, so like some like very specific, very revered high-end card that would be desirable, and that makes that situation a little, I don't want to say trickier. You just have to have a lot more knowledge and understanding of the hobby to execute that well.
Yes, and you do have to have a few $1,000s that you're willing to park. And in this economy, not everyone has that kind of money to park for long periods of time. So, yeah.
And the other thing too, like with even in that scenario, I've seen, I don't really have the context like Jeremy Lee does, but he talks a lot. Like when we see, a good example would be like the 2005 Upper Deck Ice, the Ice premieres for Ovi and Crosby that were out of 99. That like 6, 7, 8 years ago, those were massive cards.
Right.
Like massive. And at the time, you would have probably thought, oh, I'm going to hold this card. But now it's not a card that people care about as much anymore. It doesn't get people real excited because I think Upper Deck has watered down the Ice premieres by having like 400 parallels of it. And, we don't need to get into the reasons, but the point being is that was like the card, and now tastes have changed. So you run that risk too on those long terms that you don't know how our tastes in cards will change.
Very true. And I do think, there might be some massive changes down the line. We'll never know, but I do think the young guns, especially the 10s, and the Young Guns exclusives and the Young Guns high gloss and the clear cuts, like that's the high end that I think will always be desirable. The high gloss exclusives, etc. Because I think the Young Guns is, it being the first true rookie card that the hobby has deemed, it's I think it'll always be desirable, and it'll steadily go up like wine.
You know what realization I just had, Troy? That was kind of fun about doing these conversations with Sylvan is ever since sort of the pandemic cooled down a little bit, we don't really get to talk like this much about cards anymore.
No, true. And I'll tell you, no, this is like, that's kind of like why I really enjoyed listening. I can just listen to Sylvan.
Well, thank you, Troy.
This is like my ASMR, man. I just go to bed listening to the
Troy's asleep, Sylvan. But it's not an insult. He falls asleep because he enjoys you.
My other takeaway is, now I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. I see Titan back there, right? Titan? Is that his name?
Tyson, yeah.
Tyson. Why did I say Titan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the back. I see him on the couch. So that I always love seeing dogs in the
he's my big boy. He's 10 now, so he's slowing down. That's why I let him on the couch and he sleeps, most of the day now. But yeah.
Well, I have one more question for you.
For sure.
And then we'll let Troy see if he has any. But so when we talk to you again, whether it's like 3 weeks or a month from now, in a perfect world, kind of what moves have you made? Where are you at? Just even high level, like where would you hope to be 3 weeks, a month from today.
Sure. And I want to say before I answer, I very much appreciate these questions because sometimes these aren't even things I'll consider until I get asked. And it's very, I like journaling, but I'm inconsistent because of my ADHD. And this is a very good way for me to journal and actually have, almost like a mirror and be able to observe what I'm doing because of the questions I'm being asked. So thank you for asking those questions. I very much appreciate it. To answer the question, I do have, as far as vendor goes, like I do have, I'm comfortable with my inventory. I do have my local show coming at the end of September, like I said. The weekend after that is the Montreal Expo, where I'll be going and representing Slab Sharks. The weekend after that is the Van City show, Vancouver, the first card show of its kind, which in Vancouver. So hopefully, that becomes a regular thing. That's brought to you by Slab Sharks. So I'll be there at their booth as well. So there are, in terms of my calendar, it's quite booked, and I'm very much looking forward to. As far as my inventory goes, I do have some cards that are off for grading. I do have the biggest thing is I have a very close friend who loves buying and grading, but he hates selling. So we have a really nice relationship where it's like he'll build up this lot of anywhere between 100 and 200 PSA slabs. And then when it's time to sell, me and him, he gives me the list. I put it out on a spreadsheet. I comp it out. Each card, I tell him what I'm willing to offer. And I put my sticker price there. So then when it's time to price it, and he always sells before the season starts. So it's perfect for me. So I can reference the spreadsheet and price them accordingly once I get them. So that will be coming my way probably end of September, right before my end of September show or before the Montreal Expo. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And there are a few things that I'm working on that I can't talk about right now that I'm really excited for. And hopefully in the next few podcasts. Yeah, exactly. Hopefully in the next few podcasts I can talk about it.
Well, I appreciate you complimenting my questions. I don't know if you know, but I'm the Barbara Walters of the hockey hobby. And Troy is the Hugh Downs. So Hugh, do you got any questions for Sylvan?
Actually, I'm looking at one thing real quick. Okay, here's my question for you, Sylvan.
Yes.
If I end up at Van City, can you get me passes?
I probably can. I'll have to talk to like a media pass or vendor pass, or
I don't know. Just get me in the building.
We'll talk offline about that because there's already been conversations, Troy. You're just
I might be out in that general vicinity.
Yeah,
on those dates already for a family.
I'll buy you, your entrance if
no, I could pay. I was laughing about it. I was trying to get the free passes and then just buy myself in.
We're cheap.
Yeah. We make no money.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was super enlightening, and what I love about this is being able to kind of go through your experience, sort of follow along on the ride, but then I believe that there's, in all these circumstances, takeaways that we can all apply, whether we're trying to buy and flip cards or just trying to get the best deals or trying to sell at the right time, that there's good stuff to be learned here. So thank you again. I think chapter 3 was a success and can't wait to come back and play the creepy music again, because that's my favorite part.
For sure. And I don't know if I specified this, but with the Laine cards, when I got offered $1,000, I said, listen, man, the deal's already made. I think some people would have taken the money, but I'm like, my reputation's worth more than an extra few $100s here.
Yeah.
And I think that's
so is mine, but Troy's isn't. That's a topic for a different show.
Yeah, totally. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys for having me as always, and I can't wait for the next episode.
All right, see you soon, man. Bye-bye.
See ya. Take care.
Okay, well, I thought that was fantastic. What did you think, Troy?
I love the insights. I love that he shares the wins, the losses, the lessons. And also, I thought it was interesting what he said, how just strong the hobby market's been this summer, especially for hockey.
Yep.
It's really hasn't. Are we ready to call the summer dip dead? I guess it's probably more specific on the card or the team or whatever. But it's like coming in when we started our show, it's like, Hobby Dip, it's going to dip
Hobby
into
Dip.
the summer. And then all of a sudden, we had the couple examples where that's not really the case all the time.
Yeah, I'm glad he said that too, because I was thinking we were going to have the dip and we never did. Everything I was watching never went anywhere.
I wonder if a little bit of that is engineered by the NHL, given that the summer, like the real, like where nothing's been going on, hasn't been that long. It's like the playoffs were longer than ever. What was like the end of June when the Stanley Cup Finals ended? Then we had the draft, and then we had like free agency, and then we had awards, and it was basically 2 weeks ago. It seems like when everything got wrapped up.
Yep. They have stolen or borrowed the NFL model. The NFL perfected this, where it's like for the shortest season in the world, they stretch out their events and they're always in the news cycle. So I think the NHL kind of learned a lesson from that.
So really, it's been like the last month that's felt sort of dead in the hockey world. And then I haven't looked, but what training camps got to be a week or two away? 2 weeks, maybe?
Yeah, they're soon.
Yeah.
If not already. Have they started? No, they haven't started already, but they're coming.
Or like their rookie camps or whatever. Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, the Wild just had the Guerin like meet the fans thing. So that's when the season's getting ready to start in training camp. I'm trying to look up the Wild.
Scheduled to begin September 15th.
Yeah.
Not specifically Wild related, but NHL.
Okay. So a couple weeks away yet, but it's going to be here before we know it. Well, last thing on Savannah, I think you kind of already mentioned this, Troy, but just wanted to echo that I think because of his willingness to be honest, it makes the conversation not only compelling, but you get a lot of insight out of that, right? And sort of lessons learned that we can all apply from some of the things that he did well and choices that worked out, and then some of the stuff that didn't work out, I guess, as he wanted it to. So we'll check back in with Sylvan in another month or so for I really look forward to these and other confessions of a car dealer. I just like to play the music because I feel like I have to jazz it up now. Like it's getting a little old in that regard. All right. Got to make a quick mention for Gongshow partner and sponsor Slab Sharks. Of course, we're grateful to them for their support of our show. The current Slab Sharks weekly eBay auction is live and ends tonight. Head right away, post haste to slabsharks.com to see more than 2,000 cards available this week. Get your bids in. Just about every Slab Sharks auction. What?
I was like, get your wax in, baby. Lots of wax.
A lot of wax. Yeah, if you're a wax fan, you're going to love this. As I say, though, just about every Slab Sharks auction, this is the one you're definitely not going to want to mix. And you get variety in there, too. Like, it is kind of cool to see different themes almost each week in the auction. Also, if you're a Canadian hockey cards collector, which feels like one and the same to me, typically, like everybody in Canada collects hockey cards, you might be thinking, it's almost September, hockey season is approaching, and what card should I be thinking about maybe moving and taking advantage of some of that preseason hype? Well, why not make this fall's eBay sales easy? Let Slab Sharks do all the work for you. They do it all, saving you time and stress. Plus, your cards get tons of hobby eyeballs on them, and they're very popular weekly eBay auctions. All you got to do is send them your cards into Slab Sharks or drop them off at one of the many card shows they have reps at. Then they basically do all the rest. They'll take professional photos, they'll list your cards, answer buyer questions, hunt down payment from the winners, ship your cards to either within the US or Canada, and then, of course, handle any post-sale issues. They've also, Troy, just announced a new promo, I think today. Very exciting. Another player promo. So through October 6th, they're going to be paying out 90% on any Patrik Laine cards that you can sign through Slab Sharks. The Montreal fans are going bananas for Patrik Laine right now, and here's a way to cash in. One little disclaimer, though, any card under $50 does have a $3 fee. But here's the deal. So at a 90% payout, Slab Sharks does all the work, and then you end up paying less fees than you would if you did everything on your own on eBay. So that seems like a definite no-brainer to me. Do yourself a favor. Head to slabsharks.com. Check out all their complete consignment info and start the process of converting your cards into cash today. Hobby News!
Hobby News!
Well, it looks like we're about to be asking ourselves what was our favorite Yaroslav Askarov hobby moment, Troy. He's playing hardball with the Nashville president, or I should not hobby moment, Nashville moment. He's playing hardball with the Preds lately. You heard about this story?
Yeah, I heard about it. I read about it. We kind of joke, Upper Deck's been pumping this guy. But the more I read about him and watch his highlights, I think he's pretty darn good. Now he hasn't had a chance to shine in the NHL. He's played 3 games, right? So
Yeah.
it's not but I think he might be. Maybe he's in the right. I don't know. Once you go through it, you'll see why. I don't blame him one bit for wanting out.
No.
I'll just say that.
What's the kind of you've spent your whole life connected to hockey in the goalie position. It's the biggest drawback of being a goalie. There's one guy can play
basically
in any given game.
Yeah, and think about once you start into high school, even Bantams in the US, I don't know what that level is in Canada, but it's really high school varsity, it's usually one. Now, this is where I get all hoity-toity and be like Minnetonka with our girls team. We have 2 that we have the last 2 years rotated fairly regularly. And they both got Division I scholarships, one to Minnesota the Gophers and one to Bemidji State. But that's very rare. You don't see usually teams in high school hockey getting 2 Division I goalies out of their ranks. But
they must have a really good coach.
Yeah, Tracy, Coach Casano. Yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah. Well, the one quote. Do you have the photo? You got to put the photo up of Yaroslav.
Oh, sorry, man. I'm all over I'm just a mess. Here we go. There he is. Look at him.
I didn't. I thought I did another one. So he's rocking also a very kind of creepy yet cool mustache, and he's rocking a neck tattoo as well. Have you seen when he had? Is that a new goalie trend? To have the dragon?
It's a new trend for all players. I mean, I think tattoos are way more acceptable today than even 30 years ago. People don't. Oh my gosh, look at the tattoos. Now I think a lot of players have tattoos now.
Yeah, I don't know what Upper Deck was assuming a year or 2 ago when they were building out their 2023-24 sets. They knew about the whole Bedard thing, but it's the next guy seems to have been Yaroslav Askarov because he is in every rookie set that you can imagine in all these releases. And
inserts. He's in every insert too.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you're wondering well, why does he so desperately want out of Nashville? It's probably not as much the team, but more to do with the fact that the Predators recently signed their current starting goalie, Jussi Saros, to an 8-year, $62 million contract with the team. So that's going to lock up that number 1 goalie job in Nashville for a pretty long time. And to this point, Askarov, is, like you said, Troy, has only played in 3 NHL games. So on one hand, that's not a lot of leverage to be demanding a trade. But on the other hand, he's ripped it up in the AHL. I mean, he's been fantastic and probably has a solid case that he should play more in the NHL. So in 2 seasons with the Milwaukee Admirals, he's posted a 30, 13-1 record, 2.39 goals against, and .911 save percentage. And I think go ahead.
I would say I bet there's some teams that are salivating right now that would take him pretty quick.
I think so, but here's the rub with this whole deal.
You're going back to the KHL.
No. What he's saying, though, is that he does not want to play in the AHL. So any team that ultimately trades for him has to be willing to leave him on their NHL roster. Now, I don't think he's demanding to be the starting goalie.
Yeah.
But
I was
he's only 22 years old, too. And if you talked a long time about how these goalies develop, he could easily play another 2 years in the AHL, and it wouldn't be that shocking from a goalie perspective. So that might be limiting a little bit to Nashville, but I don't know. It seems like, Troy, over the last 10 years or so, that in almost every circumstance in any sport, when a player says, I want out, that a team's not going to keep them. And so a deal will probably eventually get done.
I'm chuckling to myself because if I'd actually read your notes, I would stop stepping on your touchdown call. Everything I want to blurt out, it's literally the next paragraph or the next sentence in your thing. Because I was like, maybe he goes to Toronto, and then there we go.
Yeah, well, there's the rumor stuff about a Mitch Marner for Askarov plus a number 1 or something like that.
What would Toronto? That'd be rough though, because what do you have, Wall and Askarov or Matt Murray? I mean, what? That'd be.
I think they got rid of Samsonov, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so. I'm actually looking at their 24-25 roster, and obviously they show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wall, Murray, I think are the top ones. And then Hildeby, I can't remember. 6'7". Hildeby's a beast. Holy cow, he's big. Anyways.
Well, a lot of teams have kind of addressed goalie issues this summer.
Mm-hmm.
So beyond Toronto, like as I'm thinking of like teams that were really needed a goalie bad last year, you would have put New Jersey at the top of the list, but who did they get again? Why am I blanking? Somebody.
I can look it up. I never know. I always forget.
We forget stuff on this show.
It's like I mind fart. They have Jake Allen. I didn't know they have Jake Allen, but
that's
the one
not
we're thinking of is Jacob Markstrom.
Yeah, Markstrom from Calgary. So that, and then there's Dustin Wolf in Calgary, so they're not gonna want anyone. Ottawa got Linus Allmark. So if you're Edmonton, would you roll the dice with Stewie Skins, or would you?
So we've gotten a lot of messages on Skins. Like people like Stewie Skins, and I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's like, what do you do? Do you bring him in? I mean, like you said, if you can bring him in, maybe. Like I don't know exactly his threats or whatever, but if he's just a backup, not going to the AHL, I mean, that might be a good spot.
I've heard of 2 teams that make sense. So I'm going to give them to you and kind of state what I've heard about it.
Okay.
And you tell me what you think would be better for the hobby or just a better spot for a young goalie like this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read the updates, but it's not looking fantastic from the health of Thatcher Demko. It looks like his recovery from that injury is not going as fast as planned, and they're saying he might not be ready for the start of the season. And we had our Shelovs kind of phenomenon for a few weeks, but with that team and their expectations, do they really want to run it back with a goalie as inexperienced as Shelovs, or would they make a move on Askarov?
It's like Askarov has all this experience either. That's
I know.
the funny thing.
But then the more almost intriguing one to me is, so what about Anaheim, where you've got tons of young skaters, and then you got like John Gibson, where
he's getting up there.
He's getting up there, and like, they're probably a year or 2 away. So why not maybe let Gibson go somewhere where he can win a little bit at the end of his career and bring in a young goalie to grow with the Kuttergatia. Maybe Kuttergatia will get a neck tattoo and they could be neck tattoo buddies. I don't know.
I was looking at Anaheim's roster, man. Gibby's the only one. I mean, Lucas, was it Dostal?
Dostal, yeah.
Thomas, I can't, whatever. And then some guy that's a lot of consonants that I won't even try to say, but yeah, that might be a spot too. I'm curious because he's going to end up somewhere. I think Nashville's probably going to move him. Might as well try, get some good pieces in return.
Maybe see what injuries pop up in the preseason or training camps.
Well, will he hold out? Did he say he's going to hold out if he doesn't?
Yeah, he said he's not reporting.
Not reporting at all.
Mm-hmm. Then Troy, we talked a little bit about this, of course, in our conversation with Sylvan, because it came up as some of the deals he was making. We had the Patrik Laine deal to.
Did you want to go over Askarov's?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. God, what is wrong with us? Holy,
we're something in the air around here, I think.
Okay, yeah, just to close out on Askarov, he's a 23-24 Young Guns, PSA 10 pop count of 281 only. 42% gem rate, less sold for $110 on August 19th, up 45% in the past month. Likely due, I'm guessing, to the speculation he's going to get moved.
Yeah.
Now to Patrik Laine.
Patrik Laine.
And my note here was Patrik Laine goes to Montreal. Thank God.
you had visions of him coming in.
There's been a lot of rumors. And I'm okay. I know I'm a little negative on the bit. I know he's diet PLD to me, but we'll kind of go a little bit more into that in a second. What I can tell you though, had the Wild traded for him, there's zero chance this would have worked out, and has nothing to do with Patrik Laine. It's just the jilted Minnesota sports fans that we are, where nothing ever goes right.
Well, he probably skated into the bench. The door was left open. He hits his knee and out for the year. It would be something dumb like that would happen with the Wild.
So the Patrik Laine saga in Columbus is over. They shipped him in a second-round pick to the Montreal Canadiens for young defenseman Jordan Harris. Yeah, you hear that, Troy? That's all of us Wild fans breathing that collective sigh of relief. And again, I hope he does fantastic with the Habs. I don't root against him, but you just, again, no, it would have been a disaster had he came here. So here's this type of player, or in general, we'll call it like a reclamation project.
Yeah.
Scares me. And just because I feel like overall, these rarely don't seem to work out. Now, Laine, if you're like, well, where's all this hype coming from? Where's all the buzz? Really promising start to his career. So in the first 3 years with the Jets, he had 36, 44, and 30 goals. Now, the Wild had a guy that Kaprizov is like the only guy that's ever done that for us. I mean, Matt Boldy hasn't had more than 30 goals 3 straight years. So I understand the talent and the promise around that. But here's the problem. That was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Because he was a rookie in 2016. Since the third, maybe you could argue the fourth year, it hasn't been great. I mean, there's been injuries, inconsistent play, ever-changing roles, being on bad teams, coaching carousels, whatever you want to call it. This guy has, of course, a lot of talent. He just has not been able to put it together. And then last year was especially rough for Laine in Columbus. He only played 18 games with the Blue Jackets, was healthy scratched for the first time in his career, broke his collarbone, missed 6 weeks. And then, very sadly, entered the player assistance program. So hopefully he got the help he needed there, but that doesn't help your career.
Well, you had to deal with Mike Babcock too for training camp.
Mike Babcock. Yeah. Well, then check this out. So the deal goes down, and then the tea starts spilling right the day later. So I found
all the insiders have all their juicy bits that they've just been waiting to spout on the world.
It sounds like Laine might not have been the best teammate in Columbus either. So here's a nugget from a Blue Jackets insider, an athletic writer, Aaron Portzline. I'm just going to read the quote.
Okay.
It says, Blue Jackets insider Aaron Portzline reports that as far back as 2021, the team's leadership core of Cam Atkinson, Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, Nick Foligno, and Gustav Nyquist told management that they needed to trade Laine and goaltender Elvis Merzlikins for the good of the team.
Merzlikins was just playing so bad. He was probably just like answering that locker room because he was so pissed off all the time.
Now, as it turned out, the team did the exact opposite. They retained Laine and Merzlikins, and instead
traded everyone else.
They got rid of Atkinson, Jones, Foligno, Nyquist. Only Werenski and Merzlikins for now remain with the team. That's not good, right? I mean, so here's like the diet PLD. I mean, it is kind of like that, right? Now, a huge win, too, for Columbus in this deal is Montreal's going to take on his full $8.7 million annual salary. So I guess that leaves us with, is this going to be the change of environment in going to the Canadiens that gets him back on track? Or is he now basically, again, diet PLD? I think I believe in the change of environment once.
Mm-hmm.
What is it with like promising people from Winnipeg that force their way out, go to teams, become more disasters, and then force their way out basically again?
Well, I can't like you said. You said this earlier. If the Wild had a guy start their career like he did, we would lose our minds. He had 110 goals in his first 3 years. I don't know if Gretzky probably had more, but that's got to be up there in the top 25 somewhere in the first 3 year goal scoring. But yeah, I hope it works out. I think Montreal might. I mean, it's like half and half. I've seen, oh my God, this would be a disaster, or this is the right spot for him to come in, learn French with Nick Suzuki, I guess, and and do well. So I hope he does. Definitely card market kind of reacted to him.
Oh yeah, they're going crazy.
Yeah.
I hope it works out too. So it seems like you're more in my camp, that you're okay that the Wild did not trade for him.
Yeah. Because the Wild, like you said, I don't think that's ever worked out where the Wild got a reclamation project and it worked out. Maybe there is.
Well,
I'm sure someone will tell us because I don't remember everything we've ever done.
The other thing that would have happened too is the person we traded for him and the pick we traded would have turned
Oh,
into
yeah.
like Mario Lemieux, like 100% guaranteed.
I remember like we even would try to get rid of players that you never thought would be good, like Alex Tuck, and he's like in the All-Star game the next year. It's like, okay.
Yeah, we got to keep Jason Zucker, so we can't get rid of Alex Tuck. I haven't even checked. Do you have Card Ladder open? Because I looked up the values yesterday. I wonder if it's gone up even more. So as of yesterday, his 2016 Young Guns PSA 10 pop 1,092, 72% gem rate was selling for like 133 US. It's up like 151% in the past month.
Here we go. It's in the ladder, which is good. It looks like it's 146 is the last sale.
It's gone up even more.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's one here. Well, I listen, I'm looking in Card Ladder, so you got to take these with a grain of salt before you verify the eBay ones, but there's like a 183, a 160, a 167. So, I mean,
well, if they're check marked, they're verified in eBay.
Yeah, there's no check marks on any of the new ones.
Oh, okay.
But
again, so that's up.
Well, I was just say, sorry. I saw Sports Card Cartel, friend of the show, did a masterclass. He posted where I think he was selling a Laine and the person backed out, and then it literally went for more a couple hours later when he reposted it.
Wow. Yeah, so it's up at least 150% in the past month, up more than 300% in the past 6 months. So do you think Habs fans are excited?
Yeah, I think they're going a little crazy for it.
There we go. Well, we'll see what happens. All right, we're going to move on. So we have a topic that is sort of our question of the show, main topic du jour, whatever you want.
There you go, YouTubers. I forgot to put the card up, but there's his Young Guns. There you go. Keep going.
So, Troy, we did a public sale post the other day for this 2014-15 the Cup, David Pastrnak enshrinements out of 99 PSA 10. Got some reaction from people basically about the price that was paid, and that maybe it was a little too much, even though this card's out of 99. So it's even though it is out of 99, it's not like super rare, but there's a couple characteristics that make it more special. It's a PSA 10 pop 1, jersey number, and yeah. So we're going to get through this with the person that purchased this card, who we talked to in a minute. But, the comments were pretty negative at first, that it was like a dramatic overpay for the card. And then we found out that Mark Hill, owner of My Card Post, friend of the show, was the one that actually bought the card. So he went on and posted his sort of rebuttal, call it that, where he sort of explained why he paid as much as he did. And then that kind of changed the tune a little bit within the comments. And so it really brought the question to light in my mind, like, well, is there a time, or when, is it worth maybe overpaying for a card, what people might generally think is too much? And so I wanted to start the conversation by bringing Mark on, and he agreed to come on, and so he could talk about like what this card meant to him, why he paid what he did, and then we can have a conversation from there. It's really short. It was like 10-15 minutes, something like that. But here's our quick conversation with Mark and why he chose to pay $2,700 for this David Pastrnak card. Well, got to welcome back Mark Hill from My Card Post for an impromptu, I guess, chat with us here on the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. Always good to talk to you, though. Welcome back, Mark. How's it going, bud?
Yeah, going well, Josh. Thanks for asking me to come on again. Yeah, interesting topic today.
Yeah, so we did a post about a sale. Well, I'm just going to put it up.
Yeah.
This first public sale of a David Pastrnak 2014 The Cup enshrinements auto PSA 10, and the first public sale was due to grade. And just to give, if somebody is out there is wondering how we decide when we do record sales versus first public sales, when it's usually less than a 50 print run on a card, we'll do record for any copy, graded or raw. And if it's out of 99, then we'll kind of respect that, okay, this is the first public sale for this grade. So it was a PSA 10, it's a jersey number, and we posted it knowing it was from My Card Post, and found out almost right after, because we had reached out to you to make sure it's paid for and all that good stuff, that you had actually bought the card. So we do the post, and we get a number of people commenting on the card right away that not knowing who bought the card or that it was you. saying stuff like, "Oh, this person's really going to regret buying this card. It's a dramatic overpay." And I would characterize the initial sentiment towards the $2,700 paid for this card. Again, 2014 the Cup, David Pastrnak, Enshrinement's auto, PSA 10 jersey number, as an overpay. And that was, sometimes that happens when we post. And then when you had seen the post, you actually did what I thought was a really good thing and went in and addressed some of the people that were making those comments. And I'll let you kind of share your sentiment here in a second as to why you didn't think it was an overpay. And I guess I'll turn it over to you there. So when maybe go back to start the history of this card, like why was it a card that you had wanted? How long had you been looking for it? So on and so forth.
Yeah, this particular card is actually one I've been trying to acquire for over 2 years now. Actually, I knew where it started in its raw form, and never was able to acquire it. But then once I found out where it went and that it was graded and it came back at 10 and it was jersey numbered. I mean, ultimately, I love these cards anyways. I love these enshrinement cards, the Pastrnak card. Obviously, I'm a big Pastrnak collector. This to me was always like one of my top 5 cards I've always wanted in a PSA 10. Never mind the fact that this one is 88 out of 99, which to me is special, being that that's a jersey numbered copy of that card.
Yep.
So I tracked it down to the person who bought it raw, got it graded, came back at 10. I was actually in the process of negotiating a deal with him. Unfortunately, I don't remember like kind of where we were numbers wise, but there was some situation where he was traveling out of country and coming back. And then during the course of that 3-week period, he had done a deal with somebody else for some Connor McDavid card. And I was devastated. I really thought, and I was excited about, kind of pulling that one off. Anyways, fast forward not too long after that, I found out who acquired it. I think I might even ask the previous guy if it was okay to find out. And I was in conversations with him for a while, but unfortunately, he was a Pastrnak collector as well. So this card had very special meaning to him. And, I tried to see if he'd be willing to part with it. And, there were some big numbers that were thrown out in the beginning. And ultimately, we just really weren't able to strike a deal. It wasn't a card that he was super motivated to move. He was passionate about having it himself. So we kind of agreed to part ways, but he always told me that if he ever does decide to make it available, that he would come to me first. And that's exactly what kind of transpired a few days ago.
Gotcha. So you must have been pretty excited when he reached out to you.
Oh, yeah. Immediately, I was like, yes, like this might be the time where we can finally, strike a deal, because I didn't ask him, but for whatever reasons, he was in a position where he wanted to move it and, maybe grab something else. I don't know.
So you did the deal on my card post, your platform, of course, and
Yes.
Sales information is public there. And so it sold for $2,700 US. That's what you paid for it. Were you surprised when you saw the initial feedback of people thinking that this was an overpay for this card?
Yeah. I guess I was a little bit, because I don't think it was that. I personally don't think it's that bad. I think, I don't know. My general consensus is at least 2,000 plus, whether it's 2,100 or 2,500, I don't know. I definitely paid more than I wanted. I'm not going to lie. I tried to get it lower, but when you're in these positions where the other seller is, emotionally attached to the card, and I'm the buyer who's emotionally attached to wanting to get it, you find yourself in a little bit of a pickle. But I didn't think it was that bad. We're seeing cards. I think you guys posted one this morning that was like really high price. So, they're so unique, these cards. This one in particular to me is super rare. I feel it will forever be the rarest copy of it, being that it's a PSA 10. It's only one, number one. It's an on-card auto from a high-end set. Pastrnak, a lot of his autos are sticker autos. It's jersey numbered. All of these things just really kind of check those boxes for me as far as like, this is the card that I want. And even if I have to overpay a little bit, I'm cool with it, because this isn't a card I'm trying to flip, right? This is a card I'm trying to lock in my PC for a very long time. So I was a little surprised. And then I felt like I wanted to just kind of chime in and explain, the reasons why I paid what I paid. Because those are the stories that aren't really told. You put up a card, you put up a sale, everyone just looks at the number and nobody knows the reasons behind why the transaction was done the way it was.
That was the most fascinating part to me, because before you had chimed in and added your context and added the reasonings as to why you made this decision, like we said, the overall sentiment was on the negative side on the post. And then all of a sudden, once you said, I understand what I paid for it, I was educated, I know the market, and here's the reasons why I did it, then like switch to people being very congratulatory
Yeah.
for you. And I think it comes down to that we always, as human beings, or I shouldn't say always, we often assume the worst in almost every scenario. Like you see somebody that's naive, that's doesn't know the market, that just has maybe just too rich or has too much money and just dramatically overpays for everything and has no concept of what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of reasons why. I think number one, probably the most consumed content is like watching people at card shows, like trying to strike the lowest possible deal for a card. And I think that's, what most people view, card sales as. And they're also, their immediate reaction is like, oh, that person's never going to make a profit trying to sell that card in a couple of months. Well, I'm not looking to make a profit. That wasn't why I bought this thing. My reasons for paying what I did and kind of the situation I was in negotiation, this is just kind of the number it took to secure the card. And I'm willing to overpay, some to get a card I really want. I've seen too many, even $1,000 deals just fall apart over $5, and to me, this wasn't a particular card that I was going to let go, over maybe a few $100s.
So how did you go about valuing a card? Because it is unique. It's not like a Pasternak Young Guns where that will sell a couple times a month at least, or even more common cards where you get those daily comps almost. What was your process of going through and determining that, maybe it wasn't the amount, 2,700 wasn't the amount you were in love with, but it's ultimately was worth it to you to get the card into your PC?
Yeah, I think so. Again, like over a year ago, I was trying to take this card down, and I'd kind of reached out to a couple people. I might even have talked to you, Josh, at the time, just like, general consensus on, what a card like this, in all of these conditions pieces included, like what might be the market value for it. And kind of generally I got around, again, $2,000 to $2,500 card. And I don't think that's unreasonable. I mean, cards like this, there's no comps for it, right? That's the one issue, is that, the comp is essentially what's my, personal desire and willingness, and what can I afford to pay for this particular card. And, so I kind of, I would have loved to have got it less, of course. Obviously my starting offer was less. His, starting offer was much higher. And, this is where we found ourselves meeting, where, a deal could be struck. And, it got to the point, as it always does, where you're, $100 here, $100 there. And then at some point you just concede, right? And, you don't want to lose the deal over a small amount in the grand scheme of things.
And I think a lot of it depends too on how a person puts value on like a grade and the population count of that grade, or a jersey number. Some people, that's an incredible important thing and makes a card very specific and unique and special, and other people don't care as much, right? And so I think that can factor into someone's individual analysis of what a value of a card is. And I think it's also an important reminder to, we view comps as absolute, but a comp stands for comparable, which is the furthest thing from the absolute. So it doesn't mean that because a different copy that wasn't a jersey number or was raw sold for X amount, that there's some sort of, I think we would all love to have a very easy to understand, very linear sort of, right, debatable sort of, okay, well, that sold for X, so that means this is automatically worth Y. And that, maybe in the Austin Matthews Young Guns case where they sell every day, that's a little more applicable. But I think to Grail type cards like this, you can't use that same formulary.
No, and there's so many factors, right? It's like, what's my personal attachment to the Boston Bruins and David Pastrnak versus somebody commenting on the post who hates the Boston Bruins and hates David Pastrnak and is a Connor McDavid fan, whatever it may be. So again, when you factor in the rarity of the card and your personal desire to be the one that owns it, right? If there was more copies of this, I wouldn't have paid $2,700 for it, right? If there was 10, graded copies and they were all of similar thing, I would have just let this one go and just, save to fight another day and try to get the next one, right? Which is what happens with some of those other cards. But in this particular case, this is basically was like a one of one for me, if you will, right? Because again, I always feel it will be the rarest copy. And again, I wanted to be the one to own it. And I have no intentions of flipping it or selling it or trying to make a profit on it. And, what's the value of this card for me 30, 40 years from now? I guarantee it's going to be a lot more than what I paid for it. And that doesn't even factor in, those of us that have kids that, someday want to pass these cards on to our children. That moment is going to be worth 10, 20, 50x, the cash value of the card that we paid for when we acquired it.
Okay, I'm not a pasta collector like you are. So where does this fit in the pantheon of the best pasta cards? Like, do you have some sort of like idea in your head, like where this would rank?
So this one's up. This is like a top 3 card for me personally that I want to own. There's other, Pastrnak rookie cards. Again, a lot of them have sticker autos, which I'm not the biggest fan of. There is one, I do have another, that's a story for another day, but there is the Golden Treasures O-Pee-Chee Platinum 1 of 1. That actually know the person who had it originally, and unfortunately it got stolen. So that's a story for another day we can maybe share. But that one's out there. And if anyone knows where that one is, please reach out to me. But that would probably be one of the number 1 cards. It's not an auto, of course, but it is the his rookie O-Pee-Chee 1 of 1.
Are his cup autos or like his RPAs? Are they stickers?
Yeah, I believe some of them are. I'm not exactly sure. It depends on which ones, but there are some that are not, that are on card. And he doesn't sign anymore either. That's the other thing too. Like, you're not going to get any, modern day, Pastrnak autographs. And this is his rookie year as well.
Well, I think the big thing is, and again, we're not going to beat a dead horse here, but you knew what you were doing. You had done your research. You had spent 2 years working on this deal. And so you knew you had it wasn't an impulse buy by any stretch.
No.
And you had a lot of time to evaluate what it's worth to you. And value in sports cards is 100% perceptive, really, anyways. And so I think, as long as you're happy with the deal and you get your card, I assume you haven't got it yet because the deal just went down.
No, yeah, it should be here. It's coming quick. So it should be here in the next couple of days.
Oh,
so
sweet.
I'm super excited to get it. And again, I think the other thing too is, like, I've talked about this before too. Like, sometimes you got to pay the not for sale price. A card is so unique, and you're in a situation again where the other collector is just as passionate and emotionally attached to the card as you. Sometimes there's a premium that gets paid in order for you to be acquiring the card. So
100%. I think that's a great explanation. I'm really thankful that you were willing to come on and be so open and honest and kind of share sort of your thought process behind this. And I think it's a great example that fits into the larger theme of what we're talking about today on our show. Like, when is it worth to overpay for a card? So last question before I let you go is, do you have a general criteria of that you could say, okay, this is when I'm willing to overpay for a card?
I mean, I don't know if I have a general criteria, but again, in my situation here, if the card is rare enough and the card means enough to you that it's something you definitely want to secure, and you're having a hard time acquiring it for whatever reason. I mean, again, it needs to be something that you truly want and you're truly passionate about. I don't think it's that big of a deal. When you look at overpaying for something now, and again, looking back 20, 30 years from now, I mean, how many people have bought cards what they were told were crazy? And then 30, 40, 50 years goes by and everyone's just like, I cannot believe he acquired that card for, 1%.
Only $2,700.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that could be, I mean, that might not be the case, right? Who knows? But whatever it is, again, I have no remorse, no buyer's remorse whatsoever. I'm super excited to have this one and to be the one who owns it. And, again, I think it comes down to like the rarity, the condition of the card, the story behind why you want to buy it, I think is yours and your story only. And, again, I think it's always tough when these social media posts come up and people don't understand the story behind the purchase. So I'm very thankful and fortunate to, for you to invite me on here to kind of tell my side of the equation. So.
Well, I think it'll benefit others too. So again, thank you for doing that. And before we let you go, what's new at My Card Post? Anything exciting going on that people should know about?
Yeah, I mean, man, we're getting super close on our mobile app. That's probably the biggest thing that most people are excited on. We have hundreds of people beta testing it right now. The feedback has been incredible. We're just down to just fixing the last, few minor things just before this thing's ready to go and be submitted for public release. So that's really exciting. We're definitely, doubling down on some more new features. Ones in particular, really just trying to focus on connecting buyers and sellers on the platform, just really doing some unique things that really help change the game and help people find buyers for their cards, as well as help buyers find sellers of cards that they need, whether they're local card shops looking for inventory. So we have a lot of ideas on our roadmap, and I'm appreciative of all of our users and members who continuously send us feedback around features and things that they'd like to see us do. So yeah, we have some exciting months ahead.
Well, congrats on the Pasta Grail, and congrats on the continued growth of My Card Post, and we'll chat with you soon. Bye, Mark.
Josh. Thanks, man.
Okay, we're back. Thank you again, Mark, for coming on and telling us your story. And I thought it was really great that he came on and basically, again, shared that, well, this is a card that he's been coveting for years. He's worked 2 years on the deal. He knew exactly what he was buying. He doesn't ever plan to sell it. He plans to keep it. And it took so long to even get the opportunity to buy it. He just felt like he couldn't pass it by. And Louis, you were there in the interview, kind of hanging out in producer land. What were your key takeaways from what Mark said?
He got what he wanted, and he paid a little more than he wanted to, but who are we to say what's too much for a card? Sometimes we need to stay in our own lane. If it's a card you're looking for, and you think it's the only chance you're going to get it, you're going to do what you can to get that card. And I don't disagree with what he did at all.
And then I think it's important to note as part of this, right, that not everyone buys cards with the ROI in mind.
Correct.
And I get the sense, like from you, like Troy, like you're a PC card. The guys you PC are not really big hobby market guys anyway. So you bought like your biggest Pekka Rinne purchases. You bought the set of monumental patches.
The monument,
Did it ever cross your mind when you decided? And you paid, decent money for those.
Yeah.
Like,
it was like 1,500 maybe total.
Yeah, for all 3.
Or maybe even 2, closer to 2, if I remember. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to look it up.
But was your thought process like, oh, what's the ROI going to be on these cards?
No, my thought process was like, I will never have an opportunity to get these again. Because it was on Slab Sharks, actually. And there was already, 20 or so bids. So I knew it was going to be all PC or people that were going to keep it. Like no one goes into flip Pekka Rinne cards usually. And it was just the coolest set of cards. And I'm like, I got to get these. And let's just say I bid way more than what they went for. Cause I was like,
you did the mega bid.
Yeah, I'm going all in. I even told my wife, I was sitting there doing it. I'm like, I'm going all in on these to get this. So.
Well, and so the circumstance made me think of that question, right? Which is sort of our theme of the show. And when does it make sense to overpay? And so I kind of wrote down my criteria that I'll run through now, and we'll see if you guys agree or have anything else that you can add to it. I think I came up with 4 points, I guess, call it. So here's when I'm willing to overpay for a card. If the card is scarce enough where I don't know if I'll get the opportunity again. So that sounds exactly like you were just talking about with the Pekka Rinne card. An example for me would be my very beloved O-Pee-Chee Easter egg set, which I love. And I saw the Wayne Gretzky. It was in a PSA 8. It was the highest grade. Jeremy Lee had it. And I just had to buy it. And I wasn't going to negotiate. And I'm glad I did, because I check often, because I want the Ovechkin, I want the Bure, the McDavid I wouldn't mind having, and they never come. I haven't seen another Gretzky for sale since I bought that. So thank God I did just pay whatever he wanted, because I wouldn't have got another opportunity. And the flip side of that is, I don't know if you recall, Troy, but he had the Ovechkin too.
Yep.
And I passed on it, and I wish I did not do that.
Did he sell it? He still doesn't have it, does he?
No, he sold it an hour or 2 later. I think the guy was at the booth at the time when we bought it, and I haven't seen one since.
No.
So I'm like, well, who's the dummy for not just going and buying it? And yeah, so if at this point, if I see one in good shape, and I have to overpay, I'm just going to do it, right? Because you don't know when these come up. Now, the flip side of that, if it's even a card like a Young Guns exclusives where there's 100 of them, and a player where like 4, 5, 6 times a year one's going to come up for
Yeah.
sale. I think then if the person wants a big premium, then you start to think there's 100 of these and it typically sells every couple months. Maybe I'll pass this one and just take a risk that a better deal would come forward, right? And so you got to
Mhm.
do your homework and try to understand that. But yeah, like in the case of the Pecorine Monumentals, where those are the only ones and it's going to get locked away in a PC, sometimes you just got to bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Then my next point is when in the enjoyment of owning the card outweighs the ROI, right? So when you're totally, if it's a card you want so much that honestly you don't even care what it's worth, and you don't care if 10 years from now it's worth $200 less than you paid for it, you're still happy to own it. Then it's probably worth overpaying for that card. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think this. I mean, you could probably clump all these into one big,
Sure.
thing. It's a different way of saying the same thing, kind of, not really, but
Yeah, I
kind
get
of.
it. I understand that. My next point was if it's a card you've targeted for a long time and it's on your grail list. This one I differentiate because I don't know about you guys, but I'm very prone to get smitten by new stuff.
Yeah.
And I think, oh, I got to have this. It's like, Credentials comes out today and there's a couple of really cool cards. Yeah. But if it's a card that 6 months from now, I want it as bad as I did today, then I kind of identify, okay, this is a card that if it comes up, I'd probably be willing to overpay a little bit more because I know I'm not going to get bored with it over the long haul. And then the last thing I put is if the condition of, if it's especially a rock card, if it's a cut above what you typically see. So I'll go back to my O-Pee-Chee example. They're notoriously like very off centered. I don't know if I've ever seen a centered one. And then they're also black bordered cards. So the idea of like having like 4 sharp corners without any whiting is far-fetched, right? So if you find a centered clean corners and edges, then that's what the case where I might be willing to overpay, knowing that most of the recent quote unquote comps are for cards that are not in as good a condition as this one, and so that the condition would merit a little bit of an overpay. That's what I came up with. What do you guys have?
I like it. I like what you said. And now I don't know why this just popped in my head. When we think about overpay, it's always, are we saying overpay relative to the last sale or what the market would value at? Because here's where I'm going to go into this. It's like, I'll be honest, any card I see on eBay that it's like, I want it, I will overpay 100% of the time. And it's probably every time I probably overpay because I'll put in some ridiculous bid because I just want the card.
Yeah.
And
but is there a limit for you? Is it like are you willing to go 20% above comps or 50% above comps?
I mean, if it's the lower end, I'll go 100% over. I don't care. But it's like I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to pay $1,000 for $100 card. I'm not going to be that dumb. But I will, if it's something that I really want to add to my PC, I will overbid or overpay relative to last comps or whatever the market we would think is the fair price at fair market price.
I know you wouldn't pay $1,000 for $100 card, but you kind of did with your Kaprizov.
That's true. Well, at the time, the market was saying it's this.
I know.
I was only like a little. I don't even know if I was. Yeah, I was probably over by 10% of the recent comps, but.
So I think it's a good kind of thought provoking thing. There's no right or wrong. There's no hard rule. Kind of, I think what you said is, if you want it, go get it and do whatever you're comfortable with. And so I think that's like what I think a good outcome of this conversation would be for anyone listening is just for you to think about what your own criteria is and, maybe kind of come up with your own game plan in these situations.
I was just trying to think, is there ever is there any situation where I would overpay as an investment? Because it probably gets into the rarity. Like you'll never see this card again, but it's a card you believe will still go up in value, but would you still overpay? You'd have to do the math and figure out what you think it will go to. Eventually it's down the road, but
I think of situations like a Gordie Howe limited logos out of 10 game used on card auto where it's
Yeah.
like that big of a patch or jersey swatch.
Is that the one
I
in
don't-
Fanatics Weekly? Is that the one in there?
No, I mean I'm
Oh.
talking about like a limited logos. Like there's
Gotcha. Oh, limited logo. Yeah, yeah.
that never even sell publicly.
Yeah.
Like who's the guy we had on it? Was it Les, right? Leslie Snipes? I think
that was his Instagram name. Yeah.
Yeah, he collects like the craziest of
Yes.
crazy like whale limited logos.
Yeah.
Like probably one of those. You almost have to quote unquote overpay
Yeah.
to get it.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move on to new product releases. So 2023 credentials came out today. We're recording on Wednesday. And we did what we always do. We scurried down like busy little bees to our local LCS, snatched up a box, opened it. Now, of course, we have some reactions to go off. So right off the bat, what I'm going to say about credentials, guys, is I think the $150 price point is fair for the box.
Okay.
We've had some issues with pricing this year. And especially considering the Bedard chase is still in full swing, that I'm okay with the value on this one. The base cards are pretty cool. They I've said really good base cards lately. I don't know why I'm so impressed by these, but like the design, so take that for what it's worth. Quality assurance looks pretty good from what I've seen based on breaks that I watched and opening a box. It seems like most of the boxes do have autos. If you remember in our preview when we were talking about credentials, autos are not guaranteed. So it sounds like if you get one of the bigger chase cards, so like a Provisions or something like that, in that case you won't get an auto. But I would guess like 80% of the boxes do have autos. I watched a few cases get broke. Is that the terminology?
Broken.
Yeah.
Broken? I don't know. Whatever. I was seeing like 5 to 7-ish Bedards per case. I think it might be like 18 boxes in a case, something like that. So that'd be like one every 3 or 4 boxes. So here's a little bit. I don't know if we weren't just paying close enough attention to the checklist, but some really good updates. Now, I think in general, we've been a little anti-update on some of these sets, but so there's and this will be very interesting to you two. They've included the 2020 debut ticket access autos for one Kirill, dollar bill Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov.
Nice.
So
That's cool.
I saw a few this morning, and I think one of them, Tori from our Discord, got it out of 25. Kaprizov.
Really?
That was
did.
pretty cool. Awesome card. Then there's like 2021 Seth Jarvis rookie auto updates. He was pretty strong at the end of the year. There's some Beniers, Holloway, and Jake Sanderson from the 2022-23 class. Remember, that was the big knock on last year's product, is a lot of the rookie autos were missing. So you not only get the 2023 rookie class, but you get Kaprizov and some of these other guys that I think adds some bonus to the set. We also got to see today some of the insert designs that weren't in the previews. And, I thought turned out pretty cool. A lot of them sort of fit the theme of that. There's like a 90s, like graffiti sort of vibe to this set.
Yeah, for sure.
That was kind of cool. Yeah, here's one that I really want to get your input on. So this is a die cut insert goalie called the Rad Pads. I couldn't decide if you would like this or not, Troy.
I'm trying to think if it was like Pekka Rene, would I like it? Probably not. I can live with the colors. I don't mind the colors. It's happy, it's fun, they're bright, but the die cut doesn't do it for me. Like how it's kind of all over the place. I mean, I get what they're going for. It's kind of mixes with the background of the pictures. Like it's not, I don't know, it's like
doesn't it look like
art. It's very, very busy art. So like I expect the border to be busy too, but I don't mind. I mean, it's not bad. It's not something I'm gonna go after or anything like that.
I kind of like I like it. You're not a fan, Louis? Not for you?
No, I'm not.
You know what this card reminds me of? If Tristan Jarry was a guest star in Saved by the Bell. And this is like the
it does. For sure it does. Can I show you one I just found?
Yeah.
This Shesterkin Provisions. I love the cab in the back, the New York City skyline. I think he's got his stick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does. All the pucks flying out. I love this one. I love his helmet. I love New York.
Big New York fan. Well, back to the Rat Pads real quick. 1 in 167 pack odds. Did you guys see the Day with the Pup die cut cards?
This might be the greatest hockey card ever. I'm saying it. This might be it. Screw your cups. Screw your RPAs. This is it.
Oh, God.
This is it. Phil and his hairless cat meet the dog, like the pup cup. I love it. Day with the pup. No, I love Bigglesworth. We love Bigglesworth. I wouldn't talk bad about him, but now they got to come out with the cat card, right? Because the cat people are crazy, and they're gonna come for Upper Deck and be like, we need our cat card. But hey, it's fun. Who doesn't love? Lots of people. I'll say lots of people love pups, love dogs. I love it. I love this card. It's fun.
I made a mistake on the odds for the Rad Pads. The Rad Pads are 1 in 133. These are 1 in 167. So
are there parallels with these? Like,
I don't think so.
Day with the pup. I love it. Good job.
Here's the problem with this, though, is that this goes back to the auto thing. And I know we're all dog people. We love dogs. But if this is your hit of the box, you don't get an auto.
Yep.
What are you happy, Louis? Or are you like, oh man, do you feel like you drew the short end of the stick?
I set it on fire.
Yeah, you're not a fan.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't give them away either.
No, yeah, they're tough.
Like this could be the serious. Like this could be the box hit or the case hit.
I don't think it's it's 1 in 167. There's 8 packs in a box. So
yeah,
this is
tough.
so bad.
Well, here's another kind of oddball one. Even tougher odds in this one. Fan at Heart. So it's basically
this is where I'm like, okay, now we're getting a little. I don't know. I've said 1,000 times. I love them trying new things.
Yeah,
I'm not sure this is it for me, but
the concept is basically NHL players fanboying over other NHL players. So I think in this specific one I found, it's Steven Stamkos, which is he getting like his stick signed by Claude Giroux? Yeah. I think that's the.
I found or who is that? Is that it's Claude Giroux. And I got another one for you. Zegras, like I don't know what they're doing, but it looks like he's gonna pin something on Jack Hughes. Maybe
that is weird.
Like
that is weird.
Zegras has, I don't know, 90s
like a boy band outfit on.
I don't know what's going on. This one might have been. One might be too much for me.
Did you find there is a Gretzky Gordie Howe one?
Oh, is there? Let me see if I can find it.
I'm sure that'll be like this is. I'm with you. I love when they try new stuff, and again, this is a card like if you get this is like a big hit. This is a 1 in 250 pack odds, so there's no auto in your box. And you, how fast would you have this one up on eBay, Louis?
I don't even know if it'd go on eBay. It might just go right in the garbage.
I would rather. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I'd rather have this. That's the Fleury base card from 23-24 credentials. Like, I'd way much rather have that card than that card.
That's weird. The whole Zegras Jack Hughes one.
All I can think of is Lloyd Christmas and Harry Dunn sitting in that heart-shaped jacuzzi tub in Dumb and Dumber when I see this crap.
Yeah.
I think of like an 80s or early 90s like Tiger Beat magazine from the MTV Movie Awards or something like that when I see that. But that's crazy.
Next slide, please.
Yeah. Now, well, okay, we'll get to this one in a minute.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that there's a good variety of hits in it. So the box I opened, it had a good variety of hits. There's base parallels, inserts, a few acetates, and I think I hit the auto in like the third pack, and the box was still fun after that. And so I think that's something. Overall, I think that this credentials is a huge redemption.
Yeah.
Over last year. Again, you got all those like bonus updates that were good. The last year's credentials, there's no other way you can slice it, which is a huge fail.
Yeah.
Right. When you're a rookie auto driven product and you're missing basically all the good rookie autos.
Yeah.
That's not good. And I think it's one of the more disappointing releases we've had since we started the show. Like I would put 2022 credentials and 2021 O-Pee-Chee Platinum.
Yes. That was going to be the other one I would say, that O-Pee-Chee Platinum.
Yeah. Can you think of any? What a third would even be?
I mean, there's I don't know. Like the releases were good, but there's always like certain things, right? The Capri Soft stickers, the whoever they forgot. Was it Logan Cooley? They forgot, or I can't remember who was auto. They forgot.
Leo Carlson.
Leo Carlson. They forgot.
Missing out of Trilogy, I think, something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
So I mean, but that wasn't the whole set. That was just one thing.
Well, Card Shop still can't even give away 2022.
Yeah, no, it's always sitting there for like $50 or whatever. It's like always in the bargain bin. So
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just say,
you're good. Go.
I was just gonna say I think it's really important that for the set, the product that they had a good year this year. Like it helped it, get some life in it. And from what I've seen so far, I think people are digging it and liking it. And you have the Bedard Provisions on the screen. You've showed Shesterkin. These are the ones like from a market and sales perspective that I'll be interested to track, as well as the Yager Retro Provisions. There's 4 of them. What is it? Yager, Lindros. I can't remember.
Matthew Barzal.
Not the retros. The retros.
Oh, sorry, not the retros. Yeah, I was looking at I can't remember what they are.
Yeah, Yager and Lindros are the ones that I remember, but I'll be curious to see how those go. I think I took this one from an eBay listing. They're asking $1,000 for it. I don't know if they'll get that, but
oh no, it's not. I was trying to find some of the others. I'm just looking at ones that have sold on eBay.
And just as a reminder, so the retro provisions are like 1 in 400 pack odds. Like the Bedard in this case, the sort of the regular provisions are 1 in 200, and there's 10 players on the checklist. So this card that we're looking at is basically 1 in 2,000 packs. So decently tough chase there.
Yeah, I like the retros too because they got the Fleer logo on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are nice cards. I like these. They did a good job here.
And this one's like the Bedard is playing up the lottery. It looks like
the lottery balls. Even though there is a 1 back there. It's like it'd be kind of funny if they did put a 1 in there.
I think so too. Now pairing this in how well it seems to be received with the Lure, which just came out a little bit ago, and kind of had SBX in between, which I don't know. It's been a little bit of a meh set, but if you're looking for a couple of lower-ish end Bedard products, that it seems like both Allure and Credentials are pretty kind of fun boxes to rip. So congrats to UDA, I guess, on a couple of recent wins. Anything to add to guys that stood out to you today about Credentials?
I'm pleasantly surprised with them. I think I like most of them.
There was one parallel. I don't know if this is just being a dude in his 40s. I couldn't read. Have you guys had this experience where you can't even read the serial number? Like you try in every angle, every light.
Well, yeah, you sit there and you're like turning it left, right, up, down, trying to get the light to hit it perfect. Where I really have a problem with that. Some on the older sets when you're trying to see what if they actually do put what the release is. Sometimes it's like I just cannot read what the release is because it's so small. It's so fine print.
This is great. Just love it. All right, we're going to move on to our Fanatics Collect Weekly Review. Of course, they're a partner and sponsor of our show, and we're super thankful for their support. The August premiere auction ends tonight, boys. It's always a hobby event to see some of the biggest cards in the entire hobby up for auction. Grail territory. Including one hockey card this month, the 1979 O-Pee-Chee Gretzky PSA 8, which is what I've been calling kind of like a value grade, as PSA 9s tend to get super spendy. Also has superior eye appeal rating, so that's kind of a big bonus for that Gretzky in the premiere. Also want to have a quick mention of the reimagined Buy Now Marketplace. That keeps growing as well. I think they're up to 4,500 hockey cards again, many of which you can make offers on. A lot of them have, if they're a good deal in relation to recent comps, like they'll show you that. And so they're doing a lot of work on that. And I've been having a lot of fun looking through the Buy Now Marketplace. And who knows, you might just find the next like big PC car in there. So go ahead and check that out at fanaticscollect.com. But the current Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction, of course, is live. Troy, Louie, and myself have each picked out a fave, both vintage and modern. We want to highlight for this week's auction. Love this because we learn a lot about some pretty interesting cards. So we're gonna start on vintage like we do. And I thought there's a couple really big cards in this week's auction. I picked the first one. I'm totally cheating here by calling a 1998 card vintage. Now, Louis,
Hey,
you're a car guy,
Your show.
and
What?
you're a car guy, right? Like you're into cars,
Yeah.
correct? So if a car is like more than 20 years old, you can get like a vintage license plate, right? Or collector plate.
Yeah, correct.
So I'm going to car rules on this one because this is what 26 years old now. I get it; it's a stretch to call it vintage, but got to talk about it. Maybe call it classic if it's not vintage. I
Sure.
like that. But holy moly, is this a big card in my opinion? First of all, it's a plain days Gretzky auto, and I really believe going forward. I talk about the firsts all the time. I think when it comes to like legendary players, that and especially like with Gretzky, where there's a billion autos and there's more and more that keep getting pumped out as sets come out every other week, that there could be a potential where the hobby will put a real premium on more of the plain day cards. It's that whole junk variety era stuff that we've been
Mhm.
talking about. It's not the first Gretzky pack pulled auto, but it's a very early one. So there was in this card's a 1998 SP Authentic Wayne Gretzky sign of the times. PSA
Is it the
10
first
auto
sign
10.
of the times?
No.
For
So there's
Gretzky?
a B a player auto 1995. There's some
Okay.
SPX autos in 1996. The first sign of the times was a year earlier, 1997. I kind of think it was ugly though, if I'm
Okay.
being honest. And if you guys are curious, go ahead and look it up. It's like a red bordered card.
Oh, I see it. I got it. Hold
So
on.
I like the 1998 design. I think it's better. It's a base sign of the times too. Yeah. So there's the I don't know. What do you think? Which one do you like better?
I do like the color match with the red. I think that looks
Mhm.
cool. But I like. Let me see this one. Go back here. ComC, stop ruining pictures with your stupid watermark. I think I like this one better.
Mhm.
I agree. I concur.
You concur?
Concur.
That was another Baba Louie Hobby hot take.
I have to do it once a show, Louis.
About time.
So this is the base sign of the times. There's a gold parallel. The base has no number, and the gold is serial numbered to 99. I'm sure that would go for like huge money. What else separates, of course, this card though is it has the PSA 10 Auto 10 grade.
Mhm.
So 41 copies of this card have been graded by PSA. There's 10 PSA 10s. And we brought this up recently on our show before too, but there is a flaw I think PSA is going to have to start to address in their population reports is there's no real way to tell how many PSA 10 Auto 10s there are. And as the market is putting a premium on that, I think before I, potentially overpaid, I might want to understand like how many of the 10
Yeah.
PSA 10s also have that auto. There's no way to find out. None.
Do they double count them then? Does it count as a 1 in the PSA 10 and then you got to go to the certified items land and below it? Or like how? That's a great question.
And just because it's Wayne, had to throw one little extra thing in there. So our good buddy Neil shared this to our Discord. A little fun fact about the career of Wayne Gretzky. So if this doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. So in his entire career, he had 217 4-point games and only 203 0-point games. Is that good? Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Now,
great.
all-time high sale for any copy of a 1998 SP Authentic Sign of the Times Wayne Gretzky is a BGS 9.5 copy. It sold for $3,720 in August of 2022. Now, a PSA 10 copy is never sold. So we'll have kind of a first public sale of this card, but you would assume that it'll sell pretty well given that PSA 10 Auto 10 grade. You got a current bid, Troy?
$410 US.
All right, there we go. Well, you picked the next vintage card.
I did. A little more vintage, a little more going back in time. I did. Well, now my cursor went nuts. 1971 Topps Hockey Bernie Parent, number 131, SGC 7.5. Every time I see his name, I want to say Bernie Parent, but I know that's not it. It's Parent. I actually know that one. My mom won't yell at me this time. But what actually jumped out at me, because I kind of forgot he played for Toronto, because I'm used to seeing him in Flyers uniform, and I think he started his career with Boston, but mainly he was a Flyer. But then I saw this one, I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and I love the little maple leaf logo on the bottom right. It's old school. It looks awesome. So this kind of caught my attention. So it's a 7.5. If you zoom in, like the front of the card, I mean, it looks great. Nice edges, corners look good. Centering on the front's pretty dang good. I mean, I don't know. There's a white dot on the top, we'll call it the right side, and there's a dot over his shoulder that probably hampered it a little bit. You can see on the maple leaves at the top where it says the team name, the yellow kind of bleeds out. So
Yeah,
that's some of that, and there's a little bleeding on the leaf here. But hey, this looks like a really, really nice copy. If you look at the back of the card, that's where it's way off center. Like the back is like kind of a mess, but who cares? It's the back of the card. But it's got my favorite thing ever. And one day, Upper Deck, someone, Upper Deck, whoever, bring back the comic on the back of the card. I need it. We all want it. This one says Bernie has overcome his fear of flying. And then there's a little cartoon of Bernie, the goalie, saying, I'm not scared. just imagine these people put these cards together and be like, okay, he's not scared anymore. But I love.
Can we go back to the front really quick?
Yes.
Because did goalies wear shoulder pads back then? Or
it doesn't look like he has any on.
Did you not wear those for your pictures in 72?
It might be. I mean, you know what? This looks like a photo shoot, and boy, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't look like he hasn't even arm pads on, but they could have been very thin. Back then, they didn't wear like the body armor they wear today. So he might have some stuff underneath there, but yeah, it does look like it's missing.
It looks like Uncle Tony came over for dinner and tried on Stewie's goalie pads.
It does. It does. I got to show one more thing too on the back. This little bio thing about Bernie's boyhood idol, but I love this quote they put: an Angles goalie who seldom falls to the ice. That's Bernie, baby. He
was that a sign of weakness back then if you fell down to the ice?
I don't know if it was a sign of weakness, but a lot of goalies played stand up, and that's how the game was played back then. And
You ever got those pads wet? You'd leave the game 75 pounds heavier.
Those things are incredible. And the brown waffle. I think it's just it's gonna be. This is one of those cards that looks really nice. It's gonna go for cheap. Well, cheap in some people's eyes, I guess I'll say that, but really nice card. A little about Bernie Parent. I don't know if we've actually really talked about him, but Hall of Famer, 2-time Cup winner, 2-time Conn Smythe, 2-time Vezina, 2-time NHL first All-Star team selection, 5-time NHL All-Star game selection, named to the NHL's 100 greatest players to ever play the game. Stat line: 271 wins, 198 losses, 119 ties, 2.55 goals against, .915 save percentage, 54 shutouts, and 608 games played over a 13-season NHL career. There are 36 total copies of this card graded at SGC, with the highest being the SGC 9. Last sale of, oh God, this card will probably be pretty affordable. Last grade or sale of any SGC graded copy of this card was an SGC 4 that sold via eBay and verified in Terra Peak on March 12th this year for $18 US. So current bid on this one's $11 US. So I think this is a great PC card.
Wow, last one was a 4, and now we're seeing or what did you say? Last graded copy was a 4?
Yeah, that sold.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
There's not a lot.
All right, Baba Louie, what's your vintage pick?
I went the same year in the vintage era as Troy with a 71 Topps hockey, Phil Esposito, Johnny Busick, and Bobby Hall goal leaders. I don't see a lot of cards with 3 players on them anymore. I was trying to look around. The newest thing I could find that resembled anything like this was a 2016-17 Upper Deck clear cut leaders with Ovi, Patrik Laine, and Ben on them.
Yeah, I mean, there's like sign of the times trios, but those aren't goal leaders. Like these stat cards are like they died. I mean, I don't see these. You might get like O-Pee-Chee paper has the leaders cards, but I think it's only one usually. I don't know if the hobby spoke and these just aren't very appealing anymore, but it's like baseball. Remember in the 50s, they had all those like Willie Mays and Hank Aaron on the same card, and
Right. Or three
these are-
rookies. You
Yep.
know, Nolan Ryan's rookies, two other
Yeah.
guys with him, right?
Yep.
So the card's in great shape. You don't see many. I looked all over, and there's a bunch that are just trashed. And
Yeah.
these cards, and even the older checklists, for whatever reason, just stick out to me. Then like I wanted to know what happened to these cards. Troy, do these tickle your fancy at all? Or I mean, Josh?
Kind of. I was trying to think of like if maybe they got rid of these cards at a time where there was little interest, but now with maybe the modern approach to cards, like
Yeah.
with something like if there's a goals leader card for last year, well, it'd be like Austin Matthews, Reinhardt, and Hyman. Those are the top. But I don't know if the three leading goal scorers were like Matthews, Nathan McKinnon, and Connor McDavid. That'd be kind of a cool
Sure.
card.
That's
wouldn't it?
exactly what I was going to say.
Yep.
Because these three guys, I'm all in. Like this, you got three Hall of Fame. I'm not a Bobby Hall fan, but you get three of the best players to ever play the game on one card. Now, where I'm totally out, it's when it's like two great guys, and then one guy that had a really good year, and you've never heard of him again. That's where I'm like, I don't need that one.
Here, look up something really quick that I think on Card Ladder in the sales history, Troy. Look up SPX, Bedard, Hughes, Cooley, Carlson. So they did a 4-way player card. It was a die cut card, kind of a rookie card that I think is kind of similar, Louis, to what you're talking about. And
Okay.
I think there was some sales like of these. It's like a red card, or there's even like an out of
This one?
25. Yeah. So that's probably the modern, more.
Yeah, 182. It looks like it's sold for. Maybe I don't know. I can't. Yeah, 182.50.
Okay.
So that's kind of similar.
I mean, yeah, similar. Good try. Still, the old one, that 71 is still awesome. I like that. I like that they did that. SGC population 1 of 2
Okay.
on this card. Well, there's 2 graded higher, so I didn't
Yeah.
see what they were, if they were 9 or 10s. Current bid's a whopping $5 right now. And what I thought was funny is as I was scrolling through there looking for a card for vintage to pick, I think there was a 7 and a 7.5 that were actually going for more than this one for some reason. Still SGC.
Yeah, I'm curious. I should have looked at those and see. I saw that too, the price, but I didn't look at the card. Is there something like glaring?
Yeah. No, I didn't
Might-
dig into it.
Am I just making this up too? But isn't there some of these cases of certain cards, and I don't know if this would be considered like an early insert or something like that, where there can be a difference whether the card was included in O-Pee-Chee as well as Topps or vice versa.
Maybe.
I think that's the first thing I would look at to see if there's an O-Pee-Chee version of this card too.
Yeah,
and if
sure.
there was only a Topps version, I think it makes that cooler. But all right, we're gonna move on to modern. So I got the first pick again and couldn't pass up a 2009-10 exquisite collection Gordie Howe rookie jersey auto flashback out of 25, graded BGS 8.5, auto 10 grade. The card is amazing. This is a card I'd really, really love to have. All right, game used jersey from Gordie Howe on card auto. I'm in. And there's just not a lot of game used jerseys plus on card autos for Hall, right? I don't have the definitive list on hand, but it's not real big. The card features a solid red color jersey swatch. Don't have a problem with. Have you ever seen like a Howe patch card? It seems like they're always jersey cards to me.
That's a good point. Maybe was there ever a keep talking. I think I have.
Now we're so spoiled these days with like these multicolor, multi-break patches. I don't care if it's Gordie Howe. Like I'm happy with the solid red jersey patch there. Because any piece or game used piece of Howe memorabilia is pretty cool. Now, a BGS 9 copy of this card sold in 2022 for $8,400 US, putting it in the top 10 public sales of a non-playing days Gordie Howe card. So meaning if you took out all the sales for like his 1950s and 60s cards, that this was one of these cards was one of the top 10 sales. So that gives you an idea of how the kind of the hobby reveres these. And haven't mentioned at this point either that the card uses the iconic 2003 exquisite RPA design that, of course, is from the LeBron James RPAs that sold in 2003. So and those go for millions of dollars, right? And so that gives, the design is pretty revered all throughout the hobby. Another thing that makes this card very unique is it comes from a basketball set.
Yep.
And I knew that, and then I forgot it. And then I spent a whole bunch of time the other day trying to find this card on a checklist, and I couldn't. I had a total meltdown to Troy about not being able to find it. Lost my shiz. And then you, of course, go on TCDB and find it in about 3 seconds. So that made me feel so much better about it, too. It's like, I love it when you're having a meltdown, and then it's like, oh, that was easy.
Search by card number. I found that's the easiest one. Okay, I'm going to interrupt just to show. This is one that has a patch. There's not a lot. There's like one or two, I think. So you were right. You don't see them a lot of times, but there's this one.
Holy moly, is that a cool card?
Yeah. So I thought I've seen. Well, I thought I saw a lot more, but no, it looks like there might be one or two ever.
So these cards are in the 2009-10 exquisite basketball set. And it's the flashback, and there's 17 total cards. There's a number of basketball players. Then there's football players like John Elway and Jerry Rice. Adrian Peterson, our guy, was in there. And then there's hockey players. So of the 17 cards, there's 6 hockey players. Gretzky, Lemieux, Patrick Waugh, Sidney Crosby, Stevie Yzerman, and then, of course, Gordie Howe. So as there's only 25 copies, too, it's a coveted card. They don't sell publicly very often, maybe once or twice a year. Going back to 2009, only 11 sales of any copy of this card in Card Ladder sales history. I already mentioned the all-time high previous sale was a BGS 9, sold for $8,400 in June. Most recent sale was a BGS 710, sold for $2,585 last October. You got a current bid?
$600 US.
Well, I would buy it for $600.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think I would too. I should see if it went up.
Are you telling me
now? Sorry, $625.
$625. I gotta buy a box of basketball cards and then send that off to scanning to find a hockey card in it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't know if a box of probably 2009 exquisite basketball. I'd have no idea what it costs, but it's a lot.
Insane.
Well, look at that. If that grinds your gears, wait till you listen to our Cup master classes with Mitch. There was one Cup year, right, where didn't they have like Tiger Woods cards and they put non-hockey players in it, and
people lost their mind. Yeah,
people lost their mind. But I think Mitch was on that. Was like, hey, you open this box, you got a Tiger Woods auto card. That's pretty cool. Like, if I remember right.
Yeah, you sell it and you can buy another 2 boxes.
You can buy another case of the box, case of the cup.
You got the next one, Troy.
I do. I got the next one. So here we go. On screen, zoomed in way too far. 2001 Upper Deck Premier Collection Signatures, Ray Bourque Auto, PSA 10. So just the card, I think, is PSA 10. I don't think the auto has been graded or authenticated, if I'm reading this right. But the back does say it's a pack pull and all that stuff. It was these were autograph cards. So I chose this card because you tell me if I'm wrong, Josh. Do you see a ton of Bourque autos all over the place? It's not like I go looking for them, but it's like I don't really see them pop up that much. So that's kind of what intrigued me about this one.
What I do know, because I have one, I have a Splendor one, and So and because of that, I know a little bit that they don't have I thought Bourque would have more of a hobby market than he does.
Yeah, especially when you see his career, but. Yeah, so that's kind of what I usually don't see. I don't see a lot of older Bourque autos, but again, I don't go looking for them, so it's kind of intrigued me. So this is one I wanted to look at. Again, it's PSA 10. The card, zoom in, it looks in great condition. Zoom in if you want, but nothing really stands out as being egregious or anything. Everything looks really nice. The auto looks like it's held up fairly well, but I will point out you can see a couple white spots in the auto, and I don't know if that was from when he signed. The ink was just a little off, or if it's due to age or what's going on, if it's left in the sun.
That's like what happened on the stature cards, right?
Yes.
This I don't know if
it's the bubbling thing, but it's definitely something got missed maybe with the pen, but it still looks nice. I mean, it's that would not be a reason I wouldn't buy this card. I'll tell you that much, because it looks really nice, and I love the picture of Bork. Okay, so I just had to look this up again. So, and it's crazy to me that you just brought up that he doesn't have a market. So, Hall of Famer, one-time Cup, Calder winner in 1980, 5-time Norris, 1-time Clancy, 13-time NHL first All-Star team, 6-time NHL second All-Star team. That's 19 times he made the NHL All-Star team selection. He's
the
a
13-time first team All-Star. That's
crazy.
got to be close to a record.
I think so. I don't even. I wonder if Gretzky what he's at, but that's crazy because a lot of these guys that are really good, they'd be like 4-time, and it's like, and then
well, you have to be one of the two. You have to be one of the 2 best defensemen in the NHL.
Yeah, for sure
for that year.
Yep. And here's the crazy thing. So he's a 19-time NHL All-Star Game selection. Here's the fun fact: Bork was named to play in the All-Star Game in every season that it was held during his career.
Wow.
There's 2 times it wasn't held during his career, but he made every one of them. Named 100 greatest players ever. So his stats: 410 goals, first all time for D. 1,169 assists. Guess what? First all time for D. 1,579 points, first all time. 1,612 games played, 22 season NHL career. This card has a PSA 10 pop of 3. And this exact card, the same one, sold on eBay, verified in Terror Peak on May 19th of 2022. This is at $112.50 US.
What's I'm talking about? That was like pandemic peak.
Yeah. Current bid $25 US.
So if you're a Ray Bork fan, it's awesome, right? You get cheap cards left and right.
Is this one we send to Mark Hill and see if he wants to buy it?
So I happened to be on mute when I said this, but I wonder if when you zoomed in on that auto, if maybe that was a reason why they chose not to have it graded or not.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's an older
It is.
label, and I don't even know if they were offering that auto grade at the time, or if it was that popular to do that. I think it's much more common.
You beat me to it. That was my second thought. Then
I beat you. All right, Baba Louie, you got the last pick here.
All right, I picked this card not knowing we were even touching on Seismic Golds. I did not know what won in the poll on Instagram, but it is a 2020 O-Pee-Chee Platinum Ilya Sorokin Seismic Gold PSA 9. I just simply picked the card because I think it looks awesome. Goalie cards done right, and goalies look awesome in hockey cards 9 out of 10 times, I think. PSA pop 1 of 5, just 3 graded higher than this one.
Yep.
Highest sale, I took 2 chunks out of this one here just to put it out there. The highest sale was in May of this year for 150, but the last sale was this month for 116.55.
That surprises me. There was a time not too long ago where Sorokin was like one of the guys. I know he had a rough year last year, but maybe that's something, Troy, for you to dig into when we start doing our previews. Like, what happened to Sorokin? And because that's crazy to think that his Seismic Gold rookie would be just over $100.
Yep.
Is a 9, but
still though, there's only 50 of them. What I love about this card is he's got the white pads on and all the puck marks on him. I think that's kind of amazing. That. All right. To bid on these 6 cards and any of the other amazing hockey cards available in this week's auction, head to fanaticscollect.com. Time for personal pickups. Troy, what's going on? You quit the hobby? What's
nothing?
Troy,
I have a lot of bills due.
Okay.
Car insurance went up. New washer because ours broke. New goalie equipment for the son. 4 items. 4 pieces of equipment. Not the leg pads even. $1,400. Thank you, inflation and
wait, was it? So what were the 4 pieces of equipment?
Helmet.
Yeah.
Glove.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what else we bought. Oh boy, what else am I missing?
Isn't that kind of cheap though? Aren't helmets like $1,000 now?
Yeah, 800. And then glove. What else are we getting? Bag.
Oh,
And there was one more item that I cannot remember.
stick, breezers,
No.
chest protector.
Nope, we got a new chest protector. Maybe it was 3
You know
items.
You know what my daughter did with her brand new hockey bag? Brand new last year. So
Oh, I
she's
see
too
where you're
lazy to
going.
put her skate guards on, and her skate blades basically slashed holes all over her hockey bag.
No.
Awesome. Like, oh yeah, these are $400. That's great. Thank you for that. All right, well, Baba Louie, you have personal pickups. What did you get?
I do. I picked up a 07-08 the Cup Mike Modano out of 249. Nothing too fancy, just add it to the PC. Jamming after North Stars stuff and any Modano numbered or autoed. The next one doesn't fall into that category, but it's 23-24 Upper Deck Hockey Heroes, and I loved these cards back in the day, and these ones look super sweet now.
Yeah, they go pretty cheap too. This would be kind of a fun, like cheap
Yeah.
set to build just
Right.
for the heck of it. Okay, well, I had 3 personal pickups. Baba Louie, you sucked me into this whole 2001 Pacific Titanium thing. I'm very impressionable. I'm learning. So I got 3 of them. I got a 01 Pacific Titanium Timu Solani premiere date out of 185. Then I got 2 of the reds, and these are out of 299. So the first one is again 01, the Pavel Bure out of red, or the red one out of 299, and then the Patrik Laine, which I think this Laine is really sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like the look of that card. So, all right. Well, we made it. We fumbled our way through it, boys.
Yep.
The fumble episode, but yeah, I had fun. So if you like the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, you want to support us, want to chat with us on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join our $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. The link is in the show description in both YouTube and podcast apps, in our Instagram, TikTok profile, on our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, by clicking the Become a Patron link at the top of the page, and on the Patreon website directly, go to patreon.com and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. Guess what? We're on social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And boys, the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures, LLC. Have an awesome end of the week. Have an awesome weekend, and we'll be back on Monday.